Greetings, fellow nerds and geeks. Why don't you pull yourself up a chair, grab yourself a beverage, and prepare to enjoy a geek-tastic conversation. Welcome to the Geek Easy.
Welcome to the Geek Easy podcast. This is episode 59 for January 16th, 2019. I am Pixel Dan Erdley, and I am once again joined by Mr. Jonathan Leonard.
Hey, how's it going?
And Jaron McCaffrey.
Episode 59 in your title bar, episode 5 in your hearts, ladies and gentlemen.
I was going to say something about it, but I lost count already.
Yeah, losing count of the alternate timeline.
Which is sad because it's at 5.
Well, we are back for another episode, and we got a whole bunch of stuff to discuss today. In fact, we crammed in some extra segments, one specific segment, because as Jonathan put it earlier today, we tricked Marvel for once.
We did it. We beat the system.
Because we're recording a day later than we typically do, and 2 days later than we typically do. And
but we were supposed to record 1 day later, and then that got pushed again. And then finally, Marvel released a trailer.
Yep.
And so we caught it before we got to film.
It's always been our track record to finish recording an episode, and then they immediately drop a new trailer, or sometimes they drop it while we are recording, which was the case with the Captain Marvel deal. So this time, we defeated them. Right. And we can actually start things off by discussing the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. So who wants to take it away?
We're going to talk longer than we probably need to about what is essentially a teaser.
Yeah.
Because
that felt like a long teaser, though,
for sure.
It felt like a full trailer.
Like, it still didn't
Well, it felt in the middle, I thought.
In the middle?
Well, I mean, it's still 2.5 minutes long, so it's right about full trailer length.
Okay.
But they don't really give you any actual plot details other than the fact that he's out of the country.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much it, and apparently Happy has the hots for Aunt May. I don't know if that's much of a plot detail or not, but they don't really give you any story, so in a traditional teaser sense, here's just a bunch of random cool images and short scenes to kind of pump you up for it. But on the, adverse to the normal teaser styling, it's more than, a minute and a half long. They really give you some actual footage.
Yeah. Yeah.
They show you Mysterio. They show you some other potential bad guys we don't know what's going on with yet. There's a lot of stuff to see in there.
Well, we've kind of knew that Mysterio was coming, right? I think that was pretty much all but confirmed. And I know there were some leaked photos of him wearing the Mysterio costume. So we knew that we were getting Mysterio. So we got a glimpse of him in the trailer. I like what I see so far. I can't wait to get a better look at him actually wearing the helmet.
Yep.
There's that quick scene where you see him wearing the helmet while he's kind of flying around there at the end.
It's all very CG.
The colors are a little muted on his costume, but it's still Mysterio's costume.
Yeah, and we saw that one brief glimpse of it, and we have no idea the context of that or anything like that. So who knows how many different versions of it he may or may not have as it goes through. Plus, I mean, again, he's an illusionist. He could look different in every scene, and it would play fine. So I'm excited to see Jake Gyllenhaal play the role. That's an actor I like a lot that I think will be very interesting to see in a role along those ways, because you just don't see him in a lot. I mean, he's done some popcorn flicks for sure, but it's not like his mainstay by any means. And I know there once long ago he was in the running to be a Spider-Man, so it's neat to just kind of get him into the universe now.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wow,
he was the leverage they had over Tobey Maguire.
Amazing. Because those guys looked alike for a minute.
Yep, that was back. It was after the first Spider-Man, and then Tobey Maguire went and did Seabiscuit, and Spider-Man made all the money, and they came back for Spider-Man 2, and Tobey Maguire was going, I got hurt a little bit making Seabiscuit, and I think I can still make this movie, but maybe we could talk about compensation a little bit. And Sony was like, it's fine, we'll just call Jake Gyllenhaal. And Tobey was like, you know what? It's not
good.
that bad.
I'm good.
I'm feeling okay.
We'll call Bubble Boy.
Bubble Boy. Yeah, holy cow.
I forget about Bubble Boy.
I did too.
Yeah, that movie was great.
Oh my gosh.
I still be my go-to Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
Better than it had any right to ever be.
Oh my gosh. So what do we think about the kind of sneak peek of villains we saw there? Because like you said, everything was kind of fast, and they were just showing us some quick glimpses. But we saw something that looked very Sandman-ish and something that looked very Hydro-Man-ish. But as you said a minute ago, Mysterio's whole shtick is that he's an illusionist.
Yeah.
So my take is that those aren't really Sandman and Hydro Man. It's just because Mysterio looks like he's trying to pretend to be a hero or play hero to fight these big monsters, kind of a thing. He's totally doing the Syndrome thing from The Incredibles, is the takeaway I got from it. Like he was trying to show everybody that he was a hero. Yeah. So I'm thinking he made these up as like his illusions to fight.
Yeah. That'll be my guess, because they were talking about. I mean, they even had that scene at the end where all the kids were watching the footage of him fighting the Hydro Man or whatever that thing is, and they were talking about him as some sort of hero. But we obviously, sitting on the outside, know that he'd be the villain of the movie. Right. So what kind of spin they're going to put on that? But yeah, that's the first thing I noticed is I never even thought of Hydro Man until I saw him in the he's one of those characters that I know exists but was never on the forefront of my mind at all. And so I wouldn't mind seeing him as just kind of a throwaway illusion, just because it's a neat nod to the fact that character exists. I don't want him to waste Sandman. I'd like to see a good movie Sandman somewhere down the road.
Oh, haven't you already?
We already saw Sandman.
I saw a good actor play the Sandman in a bad movie. I don't know if that counts or not. But I mean, there will always be iterations of Spider-Man. This isn't the last one we'll ever see. They can do anything they want to in future movies. It's fine either way. But I will be a little bummed out if that is how they choose to bring in Sandman and use it as a one-off, as a Mysterio illusion. But again, this is a teaser. I have no idea if that was even supposed to be Sandman. He just looked big and sandy.
Yeah, exactly. I was kind of surprised to see the Nick Fury thing. That actually caught me by surprise in that. I thought that was kind of fun. Though it kind of begs the question, like first of all, I'm looking at this two ways. Okay, so first of all, there was a lot more MCU connections in there than I think I was expecting, and I'm happy about that. Yeah. Because I know that we've talked about before how this is still a Sony property, and it seems like I don't know how much Marvel's going to be involved in all the Spider-Man sequels. Are they going to be? To
my knowledge, they're making the Spider-Man movies.
So all the ones with Spider-Man are probably Marvel.
Sony gets final approval on everything, which means that as far as I know, this would even count for Avengers movies. They don't get any say over what happens in an Avengers movie, except for how Spider-Man is used. But I think if they see a cut of it and go, well, we don't like what you're doing there, I think they have that right. Now, I'm pretty sure as long as Marvel keeps churning money with the property, Sony's not going to mind what they're doing with it.
What's Sony going to say?
No,
it needs to be more like Amazing Spider-Man 2.
So I'm not worried at this point about that connection there, but as far as I know, Marvel is the one actually behind the making of the movies.
Okay. So one of the things I think we even discussed before Homecoming came out is we were a little concerned that there might be a little too much Iron Man in there, but I think they balanced it out well. And like he was there, but it was mostly still just a Spider-Man movie. Yeah. But now that we're seeing Nick Fury in the new one, I almost have that thing going on again, and I'm not really that worried about it. But I don't know. I almost wonder do they think that he can't stand on his own, and they keep sticking these characters in his movies,
I would say it's the Marvel way of making sure they have an impression in someone else's movie. You know what I mean? Because not, even if they're the ones making it, it's not necessarily their movie. Plus, how many of their own characters have they put out in movies that were just by themselves recently?
Yeah, no, you're right.
There's cameos in almost everything.
Yeah.
Well, Winter Soldier was like a
Avengers.
It was like a Captain America Black Widow movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Thor Ragnarok was Thor in a Hulk movie,
and Doctor Strange showed up.
Yep. And I sort of get the feeling that maybe they're doing it, and I think it's a good move to sort of keep Spider-Man as the junior member.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So if we keep putting, if we've got father figure or mentor figure Tony Stark, and now we've kind of got, I don't know what, supervisor figure, you know what I mean?
Grandpa Nick.
Grandpa Nick.
But it sort of drives so because it'd be so easy to forget because he's had 5 movies, 6 movies on his own, and he's, the legacy of Spider-Man as a character in the comics, that's not who they want. They want this young kid who's just still trying to figure out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there needs to be a character, an older character going, you know, you're not there yet, kid, which Tony Stark did over and over again.
Right,
you know, and which I assume
Fury will.
Well, Fury, I assume Fury will be going the opposite way a little bit, going, you need to live up. You know, you're Spider-Man. You got, you know, you need to step up. Time to step up, kid. Yeah. Type thing. You know what I mean? So.
And I hadn't thought about it in that light, but you're right. That it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Make sure, because they did make a big push to make sure, you know, this is young high school Peter Parker.
Right.
Right.
You know, they hired young.
Yeah.
They want to keep him in high school.
And he still is. Yeah. You know, because in the old movies,
it would be hard to see him as that if he was the only sole figure of his movie, the one who had to make all the decisions and all that stuff. If there was no one there to keep that junior status for him, it would be hard for the audience to just not push him
Spider-Man.
into that role.
Yep,
you know?
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because he was out of high school by the middle of the first movie in the original run, right? And the Maguire ones. Okay, so this is the longest we've seen.
Plus, they hired a 30-year-old to play it. You know, I mean, nothing against Tobey Maguire, he did great there. But it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of high school movies will always look a little out of place because of that kind of thing. And so it worked fine for what it was, but you could.
That'd be so. I would have such a hard time playing a high schooler.
I know, isn't that weird to think about that? So like they do movies with people our age that are in high school movies. It's so strange.
Not quite our age.
Well, but still.
But even
I think we might be a little older.
Even for me, thinking back to like when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, to think if I'd been cast that way, that'd be so weird for me. You know, weird.
I mean, it would have felt weird to me at 22.
Yeah,
for sure.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, was there anything else that stands out that you guys want to discuss with it?
No, I'm real excited about everything they're doing, you know. So the trailer itself had a lot of action. So I was happy to see that. Looked like a couple of costume switches. Some stuff looked pretty neat in there.
Yeah, that was going to be the one thing I was going to bring up. Because they imply that he leaves behind the Stark costume.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if from now on all these movies will be, you know, let's contrive a reason for him to leave that, you know, because in the first the first one he couldn't use it, and then you know, to depower him a little bit. When he's in the Avengers,
it's like a video game.
Yeah, you know, when he's in the Avengers movie, he needs powered up a little bit, you know, to like hang with, to go up against the threat that can challenge the Avengers,
to live in space,
right? Yeah.
You know, but in his own movie, we want to power him down. So, you know, in the first one, they took away his suit, and Stark made him fight. You know, he had to go into the main fight with sweatpants and a hoodie on. You know what I mean?
I'm envious to a degree that you can look at this trailer through the eyes of not just a total fanboy. Because you picked up some really neat stuff while I was sitting there going, Spider-Man, 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 Spider-Man.
He looked like he was wearing like a black suit at one time too, kind of like a
with
stealth
like
kind of thing.
Yeah. I guess my assumption is that, you know, when Nick Fury shows up, he's got a Spider-Man suit. Hey kid, I need you to come do this thing. Yeah, I don't even have my suit, bro. It's cool. I got one for you.
I got this shield thing.
So it's not gonna be, you know, so it's still better than sweatpants and a hoodie, but it's probably not a Stark Tech suit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he is
okay.
Powered down a little bit.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Totally does remind me of a video game. Like, like you start God of War 2, and there's got to be a reason for Kratos to lose all his god powers so that you can go through the game normal.
I also like that they're pushing the Flash Thompson as a Spider-Man fanboy who hates Peter Parker.
I know. That's so funny.
That's awesome.
That's good stuff. Yeah, and we're getting a little bit more with him and MJ, it looks like. They're going to start pushing that a little bit. So I think it looks fun. I'm excited. Yep. I'm real excited for it. What about the fact that it's a huge spoiler that he's alive?
It's not.
Yeah, I got to say.
I know. Like, that was totally a joke.
It's a bigger spoiler that Nick Fury is still alive.
Yeah, I would say that.
Oh, good point.
Exactly. And that he was surprised to see Nick Fury. Like it felt like a first meeting.
Yeah.
So I think of anything, that's the biggest quote unquote spoiler that I saw was that it doesn't look like those two will meet in the Avengers, you know. But you know, like other than that, yeah, like Fury, we didn't know if he'd be alive or not.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, we knew would be alive, and I've had that conversation.
Well, because this movie was already announced
today.
This movie was already announced.
Exactly, you know, like I knew, I assumed it would feel kind of weird, and it did feel kind of weird, but only on that ultra, you know, kayfabe level or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Of like, we knew this movie was coming, so it's like, oh well, there he is. He's not dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
What if they released this trailer, but he just wasn't in the whole thing, and like as a
oh my goodness,
like just to rib us.
How awesome would that? How awesome would that marketing
advertising it as a Mysterio movie?
Oh man! Well, if it was a full-on Marvel
Jake
property,
Gyllenhaal as Mysterio.
If it was a full-on Marvel property and they could have done whatever they wanted to, they could have released a teaser that looked like a In Memoriam
Oh my gosh.
movie, you know, like a World Without a Superman, like the story in between when he died and the reign of the Superman, like that treatment to a Spider-Man, just in a 60-second teaser
In the trailer,
and then drop the real trailer after the Avengers comes out.
Yeah. Oh my god, that
would have been awesome.
That'd have been cool. That's got to be the studio thing, though. Sony's like, we want to promote this movie. Yeah.
Like that's a lot of advertising dollars and missed opportunity they're sinking into an awesome gag.
Right.
So it's wonderful to think about, but not exactly cost effective on the books.
What if Nick Fury's a Skrull the whole time? Whoa. I think I'm waiting for that. After Captain Marvel, I think we're going to start the Skrull stuff. Skrull invasion. I think it's coming.
Hey.
All right. Well, Spider-Man looks awesome, and I'm really excited for it. It's going to be such a great year for Marvel movies. It's going to be such a good year for Marvel movies.
Because it's over in July.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then there's just nothing for the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, that's we just wait for the announcements, I think, at that point, because I don't know if they have any dates set.
We're not getting any more announcements.
Ever.
No,
never again.
No, Kevin Feige said he regretted announcing ahead the way he had because he blames that format for the underperformance of Age of Ultron because it made it feel like a placeholder because we knew Infinity War was coming.
Oh,
and so they've changed. They're not doing announcements anymore. It's going to be from now on out. It's going to be one by one, and so we won't know. Too much what's
story.
coming.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting change.
Even if you look everything
how come
up,
that didn't cause underperformance for every other movie?
Because they weren't Avengers movies.
But they kind of. I don't know.
but I mean, like that. You know, all the standalone movies have different expectations.
Yeah.
You know, the Avengers movie, it was great. I don't think anybody disliked Age of Ultron, but everybody came out of Age of Ultron and went, it wasn't as good as Avengers. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everything else has gotten better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Winter Soldier was better than first Avengers. Civil War was way better than. You know what I mean?
I will say, even in perception coming out of movies, like movies that I retrospectively look back on and don't like as much, I still thought, and I'm specifically thinking of Thor 2, because when I walked out of Thor 2, I thought, man, that was better than the first one. These things do keep going. Now, when I look back at Thor 2, I don't like it as much as the first one. But that perception has existed through most, if not every, entry in the Marvel universe, except for Age of Ultron, which is the one I can look back and think for sure I walked out of going, I really like that, but I didn't like it as much as I liked the first one. So.
Yeah, or as much as I'm going to like Infinity War. Yeah. You know, so
now that we're speaking of the rest of the movies in the Marvel universe, though, do we want to make a announcement?
It's a perfect segue into our big announcement,
isn't it? Though?
Yep.
Segue man.
Segue men. We gotta update the song.
Oh, okay.
So we are going to be launching 2 brand new spin-off podcast to the Geek Easy. It's going to be 2 small series of mini smaller episodes. The first of which is going to be Marvel Good Yay, where we're going to go back and we are going to discuss every single Marvel Cinematic Universe movie leading up to the release of Avengers Endgame. The whole point of this is to give you guys several episodes about each of these movies that you can listen to help get hyped up for the release of the new movie. It'll help us get hyped up for the movie. Also, you know, if you want to hold off and just like binge them all and listen to them all right before the movie comes out, we thought that'd be something really fun for you guys to do. In addition to that, since another big moment is coming up pretty soon in WrestleMania, we thought we would gear up for that with a new series called The Streakeasy. Nice play on words there. You got to give credit to Jaren for that one. That's awesome.
Thanks.
So essentially what we're going to be doing there is we're going to be discussing the streak. And if you're not familiar with the streak, well, that would be the undefeated streak of The Undertaker at WrestleMania that he did for 21 straight WrestleManias until he was defeated by Brock Lesnar. So we thought it'd be fun to do a series of mini episodes leading up to WrestleMania where we basically watch these matches in the order that they happened and just kind of discuss them and review them. It'd be a lot of fun, right? I'm really excited for it.
I'm excited.
And the right now we have a schedule kind of outlining when we're going to be releasing these mini episodes, and we're going to mostly try to do them in the off weeks of the main show here. So 1 week you'll have the main show, and then the following week you're going to get 2 to 3 mini-sodes for the Marvel and the wrestling stuff. We're actually going to be launching our first mini-sode this Friday, where we're going to be discussing Iron Man 1. So that should be really exciting. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the Facebook page. Just look up the Geek Easy podcast on Facebook, because I'm actually going to post our schedule up there, which means we really have to stick to it because everybody's going to see it. But that way you guys know what the release schedule is and what we're going to be discussing, and you'll know when to tune in. So
make sure you can watch on your own and keep up with us.
Make sure you're liking that Facebook page. Make sure you're subscribing on YouTube so you get all this stuff, whatever podcast platform you're using. Make sure you're leaving reviews to let us know what you honestly think about the show, especially if you love it. But make sure you're connected in all those ways, so that way you'll know when all this stuff comes out. You'll get the alerts. You'll be able to just click a couple of buttons to get there. You won't have to do any searching or anything like that. So we want to make it as easy as we can on you guys to hear our thoughts on all these wonderful projects.
Definitely pumping out more content, so hopefully you guys appreciate that. And well, it's all going to be on the same feed, so if you're already subscribed to us on iTunes or YouTube or whatever, these episodes are going to show up on the same feed, but we'll make sure they're all properly identified too. That way, if you want to pick and choose, we would prefer you listen to all of them, but if you want to pick and choose, we understand. You'll be able to easily identify which episode is which. So,
well, you'll be able to listen to all of them and then go back and just replay your favorites over and over again.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, that's the way you should handle it. Definitely give them all a listen first, and then you can listen to the other ones that you really like over and over again. That'll really help. Awesome. Well, I'm really excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're really ramping up the content here for the podcast. So we came back with a vengeance. Is that the right word? Is it vengeance? Yes. Okay, with a vengeance. Revengeance.
What we did is we hired a third guy who he's good at the research, he's good on the mic, and he's good at calling and yelling at us to make sure we get this stuff done.
That's totally what it is.
He's the total package.
So we don't just talk about what we want to do anymore. We now have Jaren to make sure we do it. Awesome. All right, well, this is probably going to be a fast discussion topic, but I wanted to bring this up because I thought it was so fun. I'm a big fan of the Goldbergs. Do you watch the Goldbergs regularly? Both of you guys? Yep. Man, that show is it's hilarious, and it's so ridiculous, but like in the best ways. I love me some Big Tasty. He's the best. But the most recent episode, actually I think there's a new episode on by the time this podcast comes out, but the one I want to talk about was last week's episode, which was the wedding singer episode, which is just completely bonkers. And I first I got a little mad because it got spoiled for me before I watched it because it was all over social media, and it was one of those things where I saw it on social media and I got real upset because I was like, this would have been the perfect thing to get totally caught off guard by when I was just watching the episode.
Well, I did. I had no idea.
That's why I told you guys just to watch it. I was like, you guys have to watch this. I didn't tell you what it was about. It's amazing. So, spoiler alert, obviously, if you haven't seen the episode yet, or if you guys aren't watching the Goldbergs, but the whole overarching story of this season has been that Barry and his girlfriend Lainey got engaged, and they're still in high school. And so they went through the whole thing with, they shouldn't get married, but then they ended up embracing it. And then it seems like the last couple episodes, it's been like all of a sudden super fast. They're just like rushing into the whole wedding thing, right?
Well, the season premiere, right?
No, this was not the series.
This is like the
mid-season finale or whatever.
Mid-season
premiere.
Really?
Yeah, something.
Did I miss a bunch?
Yeah, because they've gone through a whole bunch.
I thought I'd seen.
He proposed to
her.
her.
Like it was. I mean, you're right.
In the finale.
I guess you're right.
Okay. Back in the fall.
Yeah. All right. I guess you're right.
Winter.
Yeah. But it's been on.
December,
hasn't it been on hiatus?
Yeah.
It did its Christmas hiatus.
Okay.
So this is the first episode back.
This is the first episode in like 6 weeks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm confused.
So they got engaged in the finale last season.
Yep.
And then the first part of this season was them like, oh, you can't do this, and then ultimately embracing it and just letting them do it.
Yep.
And then once that happened, it was just all of a sudden it's like, now it's a bachelor party episode. Now it's a wedding. Like, it went fast.
Right.
And I was like, holy cow, what's going on? But when we got to this episode...
And then they gave the girlfriend a spinoff.
Yeah, huh?
And then they gave the girlfriend a spinoff.
And then they get I know, right?
Well, let's finish this before I complain about that.
Oh no. Okay. All right. So, basically this episode is amazing because as like Beverly is now fully into this wedding and she wants to make sure it's perfect. So, in order to make sure it's perfect, she schleps on over to Jersey, which is exactly what they said, to find the world's best wedding singer. And it's friggin' Adam Sandler from The Wedding Singer. But, like, they actually used clips from The Wedding Singer movie. So now Goldbergs takes place in the same universe as The Wedding Singer.
Well, and that's what caught me off guard is when he first showed up. Because I saw the title of the episode.
Yeah.
And then when they went to it and then he first showed up, I thought it was a guest appearance.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize that was a scene from the movie.
Yeah.
And I even thought, like, he looked kind of young, but I wasn't actually, like, laser focused on it because it was a pretty quick appearance, you know?
Yeah.
And so I knew they didn't de-age him or anything.
Right.
I just thought, like, oh, man, they're going to do a close-up in a minute here, and you're going to tell how much older. Which did happen.
Which is not with Adam
Sandler.
Yeah. But I saw that, and I was like, oh, cool, Adam Sandler's in this episode. And I think, did they show Drew Barrymore in that scene? No, she wasn't in that scene.
But they did show her.
Yeah. But it was...
Not that scene, though.
It was the next time they showed him...
Are you sure? I think they did.
Oh, she was watching.
A waitress. Yeah,
she was a waitress.
Okay, because when I saw her, I was like, that's not what Drew Barrymore looks like anymore for sure,
yeah.
You know? And but then they did John Lovitz, and he was, and that's the one where you saw, like, they did an actual scene with John Lovitz's character between him and Beverly, yeah. And that one, you can tell it's been 25 years.
His looks so ridiculous because they tried to recreate the way his hair was in the movie, but they failed.
Yeah.
But always awesome to see John Lovitz show up in anything, so I was super happy about it. But it wasn't until the next time that we saw Adam Sandler's character that I really caught on that it was just happening in the background.
Right.
Because when they first even said his name, when I saw Adam Sandler, they mentioned his character name, and I even did the thing where I'm like, I thought it was a guest appearance. So I was like, I wonder if that's it's the same character and everything. That's great. I really had not caught on at all to what was happening.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing because then the later joke was they got to a scene where Lainey decided that she didn't want to get married anymore, so she was running away. And so she went to catch a plane. So Barry chased her and got on the same plane, which we find out is the plane from the end of the movie with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
He made a comment about Billy Idol.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, bro, trade seats with me. Billy Idol's up there. It was amazing. And then we got to see the whole song and everything, and they were just sitting there watching him play the song to Drew Barrymore. Yep. I don't know. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So I was way into it. I was just cracking up through the whole thing. We are
in a golden age of Hollywood right now. Just the stuff that they can do, the interweaving. It's just kind of, it was so rare to see something like that 20 years ago, even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's becoming commonplace, but it is exciting every time it happens.
Yep.
It's fun and innovative, you know?
And anytime I watch The Wedding Singer from here on out, I'm going to be like,
Barry.
Barry Goldberg's on that plane. Big Tasty in the house. So yeah, the spinoff.
So
remember they gave us like a pilot episode of that spinoff like a season or two ago.
Is this a different show though?
Not really. So so here's the thing.
I don't know anything about the spinoff except it's focusing on her.
And it's in the 90s. And it's in the 90s.
It's in the 90s.
But she's leaving for California.
So it takes place when she comes back.
Because
spoiler alert.
It's a decade later.
Yep.
Okay.
So it jumps forward to when she has failed
as a musician
and has returned to try and figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So my problem, and man, I don't like being this guy, but it really disappointed me that they ran that soft pilot centered around Tim Meadows and his family.
Yeah.
A black family. But then so they obviously saw that and went, we like it. And then they made it about a white girl.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean? And like,
because it was the same girl, wasn't it? Right, the daughter. That was still her,
Yep.
and obviously Tim Meadows is still going to be a big part of this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, was she in that?
She was in the girl was in the soft pilot
because I thought it was like an episode of the show.
It was an episode
not on
of the
Hulu.
Goldbergs. Oh, it's not on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
I watched. It may not be now. It was definitely. Because I watched it on Hulu.
What was I say? Unless it's as something different, because we watched the season of the Goldbergs on Hulu, and we weren't. I mean, we were never terribly far behind, a month or so at most. And I kept waiting for that episode to pop up, but it just never did.
Yeah.
So I thought,
weird.
Maybe
they did.
Maybe it's under something different.
They might have taken it down, or who knows.
So I know they did that because they did that thing where, and lots of shows have done this in the past, where they do an episode that's just not really about anything because they're testing the waters. Yeah. And I remember seeing online when that episode aired, it confused everybody in the world, and that nobody knew what the heck was going on or why this was happening. Maybe they decided to take it down or something because of that. I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea.
Or again, like I said, maybe it's listed as something. Well, but if you saw it on Hulu.
I saw it on Hulu.
As a Goldbergs episode?
And we watched it on Hulu because we always watch the show on Hulu. Yeah. I mean, we watch it.
I would almost start to think at this point maybe I slept through an episode or something, but I watch them with my wife, and I've talked to her about not seeing it, and she hasn't seen it either.
I would wonder, maybe assume they took it down when they decided to go such a different direction with, you know what I mean?
So do you think their goal was to make it have a bigger connection to Goldbergs, and that's why they included Laney?
That's definitely possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to espouse a conspiracy. Oh, they had to whiten it up. You know. That was a disappointment for me. I mean, that's a good thought. They just wanted to connect it a little better. I think Laney's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's awesome.
Like, had you asked me who should get a spinoff, I'd have been like, well, Erica, obviously, and then, well, not Erica. Oh, well, then Laney. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Hey,
are Tim Meadows and the coach still in it?
Yes, Tim Meadows and the coach are in it,
yep.
which is awesome because I love those guys.
They
just shifted the focus a little bit because it's
it's right here. First one.
There it is.
1990 something. It's the very first episode of season 5.
Are we in season 5 currently?
We're in season 6.
We're in 6.
So that was last season.
So it's the very first episode.
Maybe they bumped it to the front for some reason, and you
missed it. I have no idea, bro.
Because it didn't happen at the front of the season. I don't think it happened during the season. I thought.
It's there. Go watch it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to.
well, apparently you don't need to. So
yeah, because it had his sister.
It's more Tim Meadows and the coach.
Yeah, it had his sister, who was the girl's daughter, who was the girl's mother, and it kind of revolved around them. Because she was coming and she got a job at the school.
Totally not in this.
No, she wasn't in it.
It looks like they cut his sister out. Yep. Totally. But the girl's still there, the daughter. So
we'll see. They also toned down the 90s stuff, which really worked for me. That was the one thing that really worked for me. I'm not completely sold on the show.
Show started?
Yeah, it just started
one
this
episode.
Last week. They did
so I've seen one episode.
Okay.
The 90s stuff. So
I gotta add that to my queue too.
I know that not everything that happens in the Goldbergs is what's the word? Timely on the proper timeline.
It jumps all over the place. If you really pay attention, that stuff doesn't make sense together.
It bugs my nerd genes.
See,
because there are a bunch of times, and I think it annoys my wife that it bugs me because there's a bunch of times where I'm like, I enjoy this episode, but that's not when that movie came out.
I do it all the time.
Jesus.
Anytime he's like Ninja Turtles, I'm like, oh, so it's obviously 1988 or 89 then, which is the very end of the decade. You know,
that it hurts me. It never bothers me in the Goldbergs. I never notice it that much.
Yeah.
Man, the one episode of 1990 something The first one the soft pilot they did.
Oh my God.
I could not. I was like, "Whoa, this is."
But it's because they threw all the '90s stuff. Like the show opens with him drinking Crystal Pepsi, but then they're also singing Backstreet Boys music, which are two opposite ends of the decade.
Yeah. well, Nirvana and Backstreet, they had some Nirvana. They played some Nirvana in there. Yeah. And then they had Backstreet Boys, and I. When I heard it, I was like, that was out in 2003. That is not
the 2003.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The closer it gets to when you were paying attention.
Yes.
Well, and I think it's gonna be it's gonna be more noticeable in a '90s themed show because of our age during the '90s.
Yes, absolutely.
Like a lot of we look back at the '80s as more of a snapshot, I think. But since we were like teenagers in the '90s, I feel like we're gonna. I know
a lot of release dates and stuff like that, and that's what even and I think it's just because just from studying movies as long as I have, I figured them out because I know a bunch from like the 70s and stuff too, and I wasn't even alive.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff when I see it thrown out, and that's the only thing that really catches me in the Goldbergs. Yeah. They'll do one where it's like I can't even think of a classic example, but they'll be like, they'll have a Princess Bride episode. And then later on, they'll have now Goonies is coming out. It's like, that's not how that another way. God, come on, guys.
They do it with movies a lot.
But it's dumb because it makes for great episodes. That's all that should matter.
You know what else really bugs me on that vein?
What?
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord?
He is so far off on some things.
Oh.
In Infinity War, when he was like, that's it? I'm getting a Bowflex. I was like, there's no way you know what a Bowflex is. So I was like, no, He calls the one guy in the first time he calls that guy a Ninja Turtle. I'm like, ooh, so right off the bat.
When did he leave Earth?
I never go back. I can't remember. Like, I've gone back and checked a couple times.
It was in the 80s, right?
I felt like it was, yeah.
But again, Ninja Turtles didn't get popular till the very end of the 80s. It was like 88 when those toys came out.
Yeah. Well, the Bowflex, I had to look up.
89 when he left.
I had to look up the Bowflex, and it was late 80s when it was developed. Like, it was certainly not popular on TV commercials until the 90s.
While we're on total side notes that have nothing to do with what we're talking about, the Nirvana thing brought it up because I almost texted you guys. I just didn't know how to word it, and I gave
Nirvana's
up.
part of this new episode,
I was looking on one of the music services the other day, and I was just kind of like looking at 90s stuff, and this album popped up that was like 90s one-hit wonders. And I was like, oh, awesome, I'm going to listen to this, just see what pops up. And I hit play, and the first thing that popped up was Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Ooh, one-hit wonders?
I didn't even look at the rest I didn't even look at the rest of the list. I shut it off and found something else to listen to.
I want to fight whoever put that together. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Yeah, like done.
Oh right. Yeah, so. Only the band that basically made the grunge movement popular. Yeah, one-hit wonders. Okay, get out of here.
I didn't even like Nirvana that much, and I can name 4 songs off the top of my head.
All of the annoyance that I'm talking about, feeling about when the Goldbergs does stuff like that was like amplified times a billion.
Yeah,
for that it was the same type of annoyance, but unbearable. And I was
we need a Jay and Silent Bob Strike Them Back.
Yeah, let's do it.
Show up at their door.
Yeah. Are you the one who released 90s one-hit wonders?
So, anyways, like I said, I couldn't find it again if I tried, I'm sure, but that's my gripe.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyway, Goldberg's episode is awesome. You guys should check it out. If you haven't already watched it, I would recommend it. But also that show. Just go watch that show. I love how bonkers that show has gotten, though. Doesn't it seem like it's just gotten totally insane? Like, I don't know, like...
I don't know that it's
I don't know, it's just they've really amped up the
Big Tasty's the one that's gotten off the chain.
Well, they realized how...
Has he gone that much bigger than he started? Like, he's always been completely...
So they realized how awesome he was, and he got a way bigger focus.
Yeah, I think so.
They focus on him more, but I mean, going back to even the early episodes and how bananas he was with the... Like, even before the JTP showed up, like, all the rap stuff and everything he was doing was always like super over the top. Like it was almost embarrassing to watch,
Yeah,
in a fun way. But
I think it's gone. So like early on, it's okay. So it's a different thing when he's the butt of the joke, because early on he was the butt of the joke, and now he's like the focus.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it has a different flavor, and I definitely think it's escalated some.
I think it's escalated, but I love it. I love it. I super don't care because I love it.
No, it's good. I like the show.
Now that we've changed this to just a straight up Goldberg segment,
it was always just a.
My favorite part of that episode. Well, this was the
just the episode. Yeah.
Which again, I guess I'm circling it back to that episode anyway.
Yep.
My favorite part about that episode turned out to not have anything to do with the wedding singer stuff. It was the interview they did with Grandpa.
Oh my God!
And even that was funny until they showed the
that
actual
he
video,
really did it,
and I almost died.
I am always blown away by the amount of footage that he has, and how, like, every time I see that, I'm just like, how did so many insane things happen in his life that he was able to turn into sitcom moments? Like, I can't think of things like that in my life that would, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing to me.
And the fact that he still got all that footage.
I know. I know.
But again, I thought that scene was funny, but I honestly felt it was a little over the top, you know? And I love Pops.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of my favorite characters, so I was happy with it, but it just kind of came and went. And then they showed that side-by-side at the end, and I'm like, that's my favorite thing in the world now. God, I love that. So just cut that part out about the kidney.
Yeah, cut that part out. You know what my favorite jokes is in that show? That's like one of those subtle running gags that I'm not sure people really catch a lot. It's anytime somebody runs up and goes, "Hey, it's me, Lainey." Like they just do that all the time. Like in this episode, she runs up to Adam in the hallway at school, and she just goes, "Hey, it's me, Lainey," and he goes, "I know who you are." They do that joke all the time, but with different characters.
I don't think I've ever noticed
you'll just notice different characters every now and then. They'll just go, "Hey, it's me," and they'll say their name, and it's just one of those subtle running jokes.
Yeah,
it cracks me up every time it happens. "Hey, it's me, Lainey. I know who you are."
Hey,
that's good stuff.
Hey, why you been sleeping on that Adam Goldberg?
What do you mean?
You sound exactly like him.
I sounded like Adam Goldberg. Great.
The impression.
Great.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it again. That was an accident.
You just did it twice. But anyway.
All right, John, let's switch over to you for your topic of discussion. Jaron is stoked for this. He's so excited.
Really excited. He's as excited as your wife was.
Yeah, I know.
So,
all right, let's do it.
We did a mini conversation. We didn't get into any details, but right before we got into taping today's episode, we did a quick review of like and didn't like on the next topic, and it came down to 2-2, but one of them isn't in the show. So, the likes it wins.
She's listening.
She would be. All right, keeping with the Netflix train and starting to come into a little bit of focus on why I want to keep talking about these movies, we get a little bit of innovation this week with our Netflix topic, because I wanted to talk about the Black Mirror movie Bandersnatch, which debuted 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think it was shortly before our last taping.
Yeah.
But I didn't have time to. I didn't hear about it until like the day of our last taping.
Oh, really?
I almost tried to hammer it in, and I went, I want to make sure we all have time to see what it's like.
Yeah.
And man, big spoilers. If you think you're going to watch this, skip this section.
Yeah,
for sure.
This is not the kind of thing you want spoiled if you're going to watch.
Like I'm not big on spoilers, but this is something you want to experience before you hear us talk about it.
Good
blow
call.
Everything out.
Yeah, don't even listen to us talk about what we're getting into. We're gonna do a 5-second pause to give you time to cut this out.
And we always put the time marks in the description. So if you want to skip to the next time mark, just do that.
Perfect.
Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning.
So
whatever a spoiler warning does.
4, 3, 2.
We got a countdown for it.
1. All right. So this is total innovation on Netflix part. This is the kind of thing I would love to see explored further. This is a choose your own adventure movie presentation.
Careful, you'll get sued.
Well, yeah. ChooseCo is suing Netflix over the use of the Choose Your Own Adventure.
Really? Yeah. I had not seen that.
I'm guessing that won't get very far. Now, they did actually mention Choose Your Own Adventure in the movie.
Yes.
That's the closest thing I have.
Yeah, which is why, I mean, it's not the concept, it's that they actually call it, they call that book a Choose Your Own Adventure. Yeah.
So we'll see how far that gets. But it's... It is interactive.
I'm sure $15 billion Netflix will just pay them whatever they need to shut them up. But
that'd be my guess. I don't think.
I mean, ChooseCo is what 5 people in Upper Wisconsin.
They probably can't ask for enough to do with. So, anyways, though, this is a choose your own adventure storytelling format brought into a movie, which I know there have been theatrical presentations of similar things in the past, but they've always been very... I don't know that I've ever even had an opportunity to find one. I have heard about them existing in places where you can, like, the audience can hit a button and they will take a rating and stuff like that. So I know it's not completely brand new to the idea of movie making, but as far as mass market appeal, there's been nothing ever like this that I can put on the books anywhere. Yep. And if there is, please somebody alert me to it, because I'd be interested to go and check it out.
Do not alert me. I would not.
Well... Is it the format you hated, or was it the main character? Let's get into the recap a little bit.
Okay.
And we don't have to... I don't think we can spend time recapping everything that happens, because I'm interested to talk to you guys in more depth, because I want to see if we saw the same things or not.
Right.
Because basically the plot of the movie is that there's a kid in the 80s, 1984, who was developing a video game based on a giant choose-your-own-adventure book that he had gotten from his mother, who had passed away when he was very young, and he's trying to turn this into this innovative new video game. Well, as the story progresses along very early on, basically any time that character has a decision to make, the screen pops up with two options for you to choose, and you can choose which one he wants to do. And many things are very inane. The first one they give you an option on is what breakfast cereal he's going to eat.
Yeah.
You know, I chose one. My guess is the other one gave you the exact same, you know, or a very slightly different video, and moved you along to the next scene just as any will. Mm-hmm. But the farther you progress, the more these choices have real impact. Not very long into the movie at all, I got to one where I chose the quote-unquote wrong direction and got sent back pretty quickly.
I did too, real early on.
Yeah. So you can kind of get to those endpoints.
Was that the
accept the offer? Accept the offer. Yeah. Yeah, you accept it.
And I chose the one I thought would progress the story better, and it turned out to be wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You know, they swerved me on that. But that kind of thing starts to pop up more and more as you go through, and I caught myself... The basic storyline is, again, this kid is trying to create this video game. He gets an interview at this big video game firm in the 80s. He meets this big video game icon of the 80s, but he's a very downtrodden kid. His mother passed away when he was young. You come to find out that basically he had misplaced a toy, wanted to find it, refused to go with her when he was supposed to. Therefore, she had to take a later train, and that train ended up derailing. And so he blames himself for her passing away. And so it's a very solemn story. Now, I'm not overly familiar with Black Mirror stories as a whole. I have watched one season. It was the first season before I watched this.
I had only seen one episode before this. I watched their Star Trek type episode.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't watched any.
It's basically a modern day version of the Twilight Zone. Every episode stands on its own. It's kind of got that creepy thing going on, but every episode's its own story.
And they all seem to have a darkness to them.
Yeah.
So this thematically fit right in with the rest of that stuff. But the key, again, the innovative part of it is obviously the fact that you can choose how this goes, and you get a couple of different paths. And I don't know, I guess we can just take turns talking about the story. I don't even know the best way to do this format.
Let's finish out. So as you get towards the end, he starts to tell people that he feels like he's not in control of his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's being controlled.
He starts to unravel.
Right. He starts to unravel, and he starts to have. I guess. so then it starts. So as he starts to unravel, we get a little closer to our interaction, like our decisions interacting with him directly.
Yeah.
You know, not just a decision. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it kind of splits off into, I mean, there's even different reasons for why he is being controlled that you kind of come to.
Yeah.
And so it really is like the story, if you want to try to break it down like a normal story, it would be the collapse, the mental collapse of this kid going through this process. But the thing there, and this is where it gets interesting to talk about, is there are some versions of it where he's basically just breaking down. There are some versions of it where there is this experiment that has been going on.
He's the victim of like a mind control
experiment
experiment.
that is controlling him. And there's some versions of it where he just lives in a Netflix movie and gets into a ninja fight with his
that's
therapist. You know,
so ridiculous.
Yeah. Like it really goes in a bunch of different fun directions. And the thing is, when like I got on the when I was given the option, I got on the Netflix path. And the Netflix path went totally off the rails, and it was completely bananas, and it was hilarious.
So did you go that direction first?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Really?
As soon as it popped up with the two choices, I was like, I'm picking Netflix because it was like Netflix or like that Sign of the Beast thing.
Yeah.
Right. Where that was the first two that you got. Yeah.
So I didn't get the Netflix office until I'd killed his dad like 3 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't.
Whoa, that was the first option I got.
I got it before I ever got to killing his dad at all.
Yeah,
really?
me too.
No.
Whoa, that's awesome.
And then he gets into a ninja fight with his therapist. Did you guys get to that?
Yeah,
I got to that one.
Yeah. She starts ninja fighting him, and he kills her, and he kills his dad, and
yeah, and then well, no, I didn't see him kill his dad in that part. He got drug out by his dad, and then the movie kind of ended and sent me back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Okay.
And then there was that was one pseudo ending I got to, and that's the other thing. At one point I got to what I considered to be a great ending. I got to an ending that I was very satisfied with. It was my third ending, and when I got to the first 2, they were fine. Well, the first one was that one. He goes into the therapist's office, gets into that ninja fight, and then gets drug out by his dad screaming about something. That one wasn't exactly satisfying, but it was clearly like an offshoot direction, you know?
Yeah.
The second one
that was the only time I liked the movie.
It was so awesome.
There was a scene. God, this is so cool conceptually. There was a scene where he ends up going to the apartment of the video game icon.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
One of them goes off a balcony.
Right? Yep. I got to that
I chose the main character.
Yep,
okay.
Me too.
And really wanted to see what happened if the other guy did, but I never got back to that
point.
Oh,
I did.
Oh, really?
Yep, I did. I got back to it.
You were able to do both.
Okay, well hold on.
I was able to do both.
Because I never got to go back. I had the other guy go off. I never got to go back and see what happened.
I got both of them. I got both of them to jump.
Either.
Yeah. So I did the main character first.
So what happens when the main character jumps?
So when the main character jumps, he dies, obviously. Yeah. And then don't they still like just fast forward to Christmas? Yeah. No, fast forward to Christmas.
They always fast forward to that scene
to the release of his game.
Oh yeah.
But like they talk about how like the guy who was creating the game ended up dying midway through, so then the company just pushed it out, and it was still a terrible game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that was like the ending, and then it came back, and it was like it took me back to the scene where it was like, go into the therapist or follow what's his name again.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to follow him again. And I went back, and then it did that thing where it skipped real fast through all the apartment stuff, back to the balcony.
I like the recap format too.
So then they were back
where it was.
Yeah, so then they were back on the balcony, and I was like, all right, and I chose him the second time.
Yeah,
and then he jumped off and died. And what happened after that? Because you did that.
When I did that, it just reset.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that was just the end of it?
So he jumped off and died.
Yes.
And then because then his wife came in.
No, I guess not.
Because then his wife came in.
A little
yeah,
bit.
his wife came in and was like, "Where is he?
Yeah.
Oh my God!" She saw that he jumped, and then I don't remember what happened after that. But it definitely did the thing where eventually we had to come right back to the therapist and had to actually go talk to the therapist instead of following the video game icon guy.
You know,
so like it brought us back.
Now that you say that, that's what he goes to the therapist and he describes it like it's a dream.
That's right. He woke up from a dream, right?
Yes. When
woke up from a dream.
Yeah. When that guy jumps, he like wakes up from a dream, and then he tells he's telling the therapist about it. Like
and then you're in the therapist talking like you were going to go anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Like they make several nods in the thing about like sometimes you'll choose something and one of the characters will say, "You made the wrong choice." Like they verbally said that.
Yeah.
Or there's even a moment too where the video game icon makes that comment about like you think you have free will to choose what you want, but really you're just being guided to which totally is what it is, right? Like because even though we're choosing these things, we ultimately do always have to come back to whatever option pushes the story forward.
I really got the feeling there were levels to this thing that were like I think I really like this as and now granted, as a sit down and watch it movie, I don't know what to relate it to, so I can't be like, oh, it's 5 stars, give it an Oscar, because that's not what it is. But as an experience, I really dug what was going through. Now we will get to your issues, and I don't even disagree with them.
Okay,
but I'm looking at it as a whole, and I feel like I was, if I go back and review it and try to dig deeper, there may be nothing under it. It may be all surface stuff like that. But I got the feeling through the 90 or so minutes that I sat through it, I had that feeling like I was a part of this story. Like they were giving you those speeches where it's like, well, the free will thing and, the choices you make thing. And there's a very good chance all of that stuff goes nowhere if you actually overanalyze it. But going through...
that might be my problem.
Going through it and just trying to experience and figure out what's going on, like at least on the surface, it sucked me right in.
Yeah.
Which, if it does nothing else, that first time, it was brilliant, in my opinion.
Yep.
And so I think that's what astounds me so much about it is that the obvious motif of it is, well, you get to take part in the story. But it wasn't like... I didn't feel like I was sitting outside just clicking buttons. I felt like I was taking part in this story, and they did those little subtle nods to weave you back to that idea, and they got me, man. And maybe it was just because I was sitting down wanting to be into it, but for whatever reason, they got me. I was totally into it, into going through stuff like that.
Yep. So I definitely got to a point where I was just like, how much longer can this possibly go? Like, because I definitely got to one specific ending that I want to talk about, which I thought was it. I thought that was done. And then it bamboozled me and gave me a new option at the very end of it. And I was like, what? So I did it, and all of a sudden, I had another 30 minutes of movie to watch. And I was just like, what is going on? Like, this movie just keeps going, and it's like, it feels like it's never ending. So that was the scene where, and I don't even remember the route I took. Oh, I think it was the whole scene where you put in the code in the safe that was PAC, which is how you found out the whole thing. Which in this ending, his dad and mom weren't really his mom and dad, and they were actually just experimenting on him or whatever. Blah 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 blah. I think that was how we got to this one.
Yes.
Because then they cut, like, the whole thing ends and it looks like it's a documentary about this kid.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Is this the one you get?
I never got to that one.
No, so it looks like they're telling a documentary. Cool. They're telling a documentary about the kid that was going to make a video game about the book that drove the book's author crazy, and they're talking about how the kid died in a similar fashion to the author of the book, and now there's somebody new who wants to revive the concept for a new generation. So they're talking to this lady, and she's like, I'm really interested in. It's a really interesting story, and I just think this could really work.
Yeah, I did see this.
Yeah. So
you know
then
who that was.
No.
That was the daughter of the video game icon.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
So what she was doing was creating this Netflix thing, basically, right? Yeah. So she's creating this Netflix movie that we're watching. Yeah. So then they're showing her creating this Netflix thing, and they're actually showing us the credits.
See, I think I got to that after. I got to that one. I think it was after.
And maybe I got the wrong. Maybe I'm thinking the wrong path.
Well, I mean, there's probably different ways to get there. Because I went through the PAX thing once or twice, but I think
because they changed that password once too.
Yep,
once it was PAC, and then it was PAX.
Yep. Because when I did it the second time, is when I got my real ending, I think. But when I got
did you guys get Toy?
Okay, I did Toy last.
Maybe Toy
that's when I
real.
got
Maybe
the real
Toy
ending.
That's how was the one I did.
Yeah, Toy is how I got the real ending. Yeah, Toy is how I got the real ending.
Well, again,
the final ending.
What may be the final ending?
Right.
There might be 6 final endings. I don't know.
This
one felt perfect to me. Regardless, the one we're in, I'm pretty sure I got to it. No, I didn't. That is how I got to it through the PAX thing. The route I was thinking of was at one point he just gets into a fight with his dad, and you can choose to kill him, and he hits him with that ashtray. And then he's like, okay, what do I do now? And you can choose to either bury him or chop up the body.
Yeah.
Chop up the body.
I did too.
Like, oh, really?
Yeah, I did that too.
But that got to an ending where he was sitting there working on the game, but he had his dad's head next to him, which mirrored what happened to the author.
That's how he made the perfect game, though.
Yeah.
That's the ending where he made the perfect game. And they were like, 5 out of 5, it's amazing.
See, I think
But then
it's the documentary.
Is that how it went to the documentary?
That's how it was for mine.
That's how it went to the documentary.
Because it comes up on the guy. It comes up on the guy going, "It's a 5 it's the greatest game ever," and then it like pauses, and it's like it seems in poor taste now, but at that point we didn't know he had killed his dad.
You're right. Yeah. That's how we got to the documentary ending.
Okay, that makes
because
sense.
he released the perfect game, and then he ultimately went to prison because of killing his dad.
How lost is everybody watching?
I know. I hope you guys have seen it.
Again, like. I'm appreciating the format of this show as us sometimes just coming together talking, because I didn't want to have any of these conversations before we got into it.
Yeah.
Because I think if you've watched Bandersnatch, if you haven't and you don't care, you're lost anyway.
Yeah.
If you do care and haven't, hopefully you're not watching right now. If you've seen it and care at all what we think, my hope is that this is exactly what you're hoping for, because this back and forth was what I've been doing it for all day, just to figure out where everybody got.
It's hard to remember all the different paths.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. I remember a bunch of the scenes, but I don't remember exactly how I got there.
So did you guys kill his dad twice?
I killed his dad twice.
Yeah, at least.
So did you get the difference?
So the first time I backed off. Because I backed off the first time.
Ooh, I didn't do that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what happened after I backed off.
Okay.
Yeah, because I backed... The first time it was like, kill your dad or back off.
Yes.
And so I backed off the first time.
So I did that. I killed the dad the first time, and I was never given the option to back off again.
Oh, man, I can't even remember what happened, but it did one of those things where it ultimately brought me back.
Okay.
And I had to eventually kill him.
Yeah.
And I think I'm with you, because I don't remember... I definitely never took it. I don't even remember seeing it as an option.
Well, that was the one time...
Did you guys pour the tea on the computer or tell him to break the... Okay, so I just told him to break the computer, and then he didn't break it. He was like, no.
So you didn't miss
himself.
anything. If he pours... Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, he stopped himself. That's... When it got to that point, that's when he first noticed somebody was trying to control him.
Yes.
Because it was like, pour tea or break the computer. And I was like, I'm going to break that computer. Boom. And he goes, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Who's doing this? And I was like... what's going on here? And then that's when I chose the Netflix option, was right after that.
When I chose the pour the tea, he pours the tea on it and then it rewinds it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
he gets up to leave and it's just like, nope, go back.
So it always tries to really push you back towards the one path, it seems like. Like, even though you've got all these, but like you want to see all the different things, right? Exactly. And that was kind of my thing. I was like, I want to see what else happens when I choose these things.
That's part of the story too, and that's worth mentioning, because he's kind of aware. He is aware of the rewinds.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the one thing that kind of stood out to me. And sometimes, like, when you rewind, it's different. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The other guy was aware of it too.
Yeah. Because when I killed the dad, you know, gave him the option, back off or kill the dad, and I killed him. And I think I chopped up the body. So he hits him with the thing, and then he kind of freaks out and starts pacing around a little bit.
Yeah.
And you got to make the decision, chop up or bury the body. I decided to chop it up. He's like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And he chops up the body, and that's an ending. You know, that's where that's where I got the documentary ending. And then when it sent me back, it sent me back. I did not get the option to back off, because I wanted to go back and see what happens when you back off.
Yeah.
It did not give me that option. When it gets back to that, he just kills the dad, and then he looks in the camera and goes, "What now?"
Yeah.
And that I was like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. And then I had him bury the body. And I was like, okay, that one worked. That was the one time I was like, yep.
Yeah.
Actually, that was one of 2 times. The other time, because I had done that, I did that ending where he kills his dad. Like, I played through that 3 different ways, 4 maybe. Really? I played through that several different. Well, because I got to when the other guy comes to check it out.
Oh yeah, you kill him or let him go.
Yeah,
I let him go.
I did that a couple different times.
Too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Did you guys ever kill him?
No, I never got a chance to.
Oh yeah, I killed him. I think I killed him the first time.
I should have.
So then it sent me back and gave me a chance to let him go.
Yeah, if you just let him go, that's just it, and he just leaves.
That was part of the bummer of it. Sometimes, like, I want to do both. But if you choose
the
wrong, then you can't
Yeah.
try the other one necessarily. You got to watch the movie again.
Yep.
So when you ultimately typed in toy, I think that's what all gave us the final ending, because that's where he actually opened it up and found the missing toy.
Right, so I'm guessing we all got the same final ending. Then,
so then
which
he
I
got
thought was really cool.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
So he got
raise your eyebrows at me.
So he got to open the safe.
I rolled my eyes at that ending.
He pulled the toy out, and all of a sudden he was back to being a kid, and his dad's like, "Okay, go ahead and take it and put it back."
Yeah.
So then they do the whole thing where like he ultimately gets to go on the train with his mom and then die with his mom.
Yeah, well, they still
That's
ended up
what you
late.
got? Yeah.
So basically, like, and there was like a level of acceptance from his dad too. So like his dad somehow, because obviously like now time travel's involved.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think you can dissect it in a way where you'll get an answer, but however you want to look at that, the dad basically makes the conscious decision to go ahead and let him, because that basically becomes like the shoot-off point. Like him losing him. The dad took that toy. The kid didn't know and couldn't find it. Then his mom died and he blamed himself. So now this is basically the dad saying, you know what? Go get the toy. Put it where it's supposed to be. Live the life you were supposed to live at that moment.
Yeah.
Go back to that decision, because the whole movie's about decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how how they affect you, and how when you don't have control of them, what happens, all that stuff. So now basically he's saying go back to that very first decision and make the right one. And so he goes and he finds the toy, but it takes him a minute, so they still end up being late. So he dies on the train with his mom, and then they flash back to the future where he's in a meeting with his therapist, and he basically just dies right there.
Yeah.
Because in the past,
Yeah.
so it's
That's
kinda,
what I got. And then it actually went to the credits, like real credits this time.
And didn't give you
any more boxes.
Yeah.
So that felt like the real
But
ending.
I was super into that ending. I like that ending a lot.
Yeah. So did it give us another choice where it was like go with her or don't go with her when she?
I don't think so.
No, he just did. Okay,
Yeah.
I can't remember if there was another choice there or not.
I don't remember getting an option.
I don't think so. So
Okay.
all right, now from a perspective of, because you didn't hate the experience so much as you hated the content, correct?
I did not really like any of it.
Okay.
I appreciate the effort and the project of it. I appreciate what they did. I think it was pretty cool, and I think it was a pretty cool idea. Okay, so my first number one big gripe, I could not play it on anything except my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh,
I couldn't play it on the TV. I didn't have now I have an old iPad, but it wouldn't play on my iPad.
Okay.
So the only thing I could watch it on was my phone.
Okay. That's got to be a super bummer.
I have a smart TV and it worked fine with a smart TV.
Same here.
I did
Try
not
the laptop?
I did not try the laptop. I don't think I would have enjoyed the laptop any more than the phone. So that was that's a big hang up for me. The very first thing I didn't like. I hated the main character. I told you guys I have a real bias, a real problem with like sad sack protagonists in any movie. I mean, it's one thing if a protagonist is unhappy, depressed, whatever. It's another thing when they're just a sad sack, mopey, big huge ink stain in the middle of this movie.
It's
I'm
like
not
an unfunny Ben Stiller.
Yeah, I'm out of it. I'm taking
unfunny Ben Stiller.
Or just Ben Stiller. I'm taken out of it immediately. So that happened with this. I did not enjoy the experience. And I would say, so like it took me out of the experience right away because the first half are inconsequential or rewind you right away. So you choose what serial, which doesn't matter. You choose the music he listens to, which plays a song, and then you get the option to choose which video game, and I chose that video game, and it immediately, it showed me a short ending, and then immediately rewound me and started me over. So like, you know what I mean? So like right away I got the impression like, okay, this is just a gimmick and you're going to make me do what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did not.
But at the beginning they're priming you for it. Like they're giving you the serial thing just so you kind of know what you're getting into. And
I get that, but it's still, to me, it gave me the message, to me, like when I made the decision for him to do the video game and it gave me a short, 2-minute wrap up and then sent me back, it took me out of the experience a little bit. I mean, a lot. It made me.
It didn't build for you once they started really giving you actual like branches. Because to me, the build-up was part of what was fun about it. Because it was annoying when you're like, okay, I guess I'll pick a breakfast cereal. I don't care.
Yeah.
See, I didn't.
But as it started to go on, and I got to start seeing new things, and now all of a sudden the shootbacks weren't a minute later; they were 10 minutes later, and I'd get to really like experience it as a branching effect.
I didn't feel like it had a branching effect until the very end. I did not feel like anything really branched, because even so, like when you go into the hotel room and you kill the other guy, right? When he jumped off, it had like a few minutes of everybody freaking out, and then he was in the therapist's office talking about how it was a dream. You know, so there again, I was like, well, I just killed this guy and it didn't matter to the story at all.
Yeah.
When, you know, then my next choice was, you know, dump tea on the computer. I dumped tea on the computer, and it just sent me back to not dump tea on. You know, he dumps tea on the computer and he gets up and walks away, and then that's the end. And you get to, you know, then you have to go back and choose to not dump tea on the computer. Yeah. So like it was late before I felt like I really got any branching story. So like I was not into it the whole way through. You know what I mean? That was my experience. You know, I didn't start to get branches until I got to the very end. When he had to kill his dad. So like, you know, like that was as far as I got, all the way to the end of what I thought was the movie, before I felt like anything I did actually affected what was going on.
Yeah.
So I was not into it at all. Yeah. You know, the other thing I'm gonna say is, while it's a cool idea, you know what? If I want to be involved in a branching choose your own adventure experience, I have lots of video games that do it way better.
Okay.
You know, that was my feel. I like this was a cool idea, cool concept. I appreciate that they put all this work into it. I do not need this, because I would much rather put in God of War or Skyrim or any other,
even those from a storytelling perspective, most of those you can branch off and do whatever you want to do for a while, but you still get caught in the same narrative as you go through.
Which I feel is the same thing that happened for me in this.
Yeah, like, no, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, it's not like, a different experience definitely. So much as... But you got to look at it as... I mean, again, I don't think this is replacing movies. You know?
Right.
I don't think this is...
What if it did?
You know, I was never even a huge fan
stop watching movies.
I was never a huge fan of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Because basically everything you just described is how I always felt about the books.
Yeah.
But from this perspective here, from the movie version of it, and maybe part of it is the freshness of it. But this was able to suck me in. Now, this was something I was excited about and wanted to like and found it easy to like. Granted, it's always easier when you're hoping to like something.
Yeah.
But it's not definitive. There's lots of things I really want to like
and
don't end up liking at all. So I don't think it's strictly willpower to like it. Also, though, I don't know that the format is perfected. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like this again. I'm not even hoping that we see anything like this again, per se.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. But the idea to me is, if this were going to become a thing, I don't expect the first one to be the best. But if you're going to introduce something new to me, man, you hit all the buttons I wanted you to hit.
Yeah.
You know, and I was really happy with it. And then the thing that really gets me excited about it is all the time we've spent talking about in the last 5 weeks, the things Netflix are doing on a Hollywood level. You know, they're bringing in A-list stars. They're putting budgets behind movies. They're giving theatrical releases. They're making awards pushes. All this sort of stuff is like their variations on what movies are and the movie industry itself and the immediate effect it may or may not end up having over the next couple of years on what we would consider standard presentation. This is like an offshoot of that, though.
Right.
This is, we actually have this format that isn't just movies at the touch of a button. It can be more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the next level of this is. I don't know if there is a next level of this, because 3 weeks ago I would have never known that this would be a level.
Yeah.
But the idea that now they are not just going, who can we hire that'll surprise people? Now they're going, what can we do that will be innovative, is exciting to me. Because again, if I knew what this was going to turn into or what was going to come next, I would be working for Netflix. I don't have a clue what to even expect out of this. And it could very well be nothing. Yeah. We may never see another Choose Your Own Adventure. We may never see anything that isn't a movie or a TV show on Netflix again. I have no idea. But they're trying stuff.
Yeah.
And they've already come out with one thing that I never would have thought of in a million years. And from my perspective, it worked pretty well. So the idea of either doing it better or doing even more newer, more innovative things is really exciting to me. And I think this is kind of the next step on what happens next. Again, not saying
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah. And that's why I say I like the appreciate the idea and all the work that went into it, you know, because I would agree with that. I might be interested, you know, and you're sitting here talking about, I don't know what's next, you know, they're hiring big actors. You know, I might be interested to try it again with somebody I know. You know, like if I get to make decisions for Sandra Bullock, that might be different than
choose
just
your own Bird Box adventure.
Can you picture like an Anchorman in this format?
Well, I was gonna say like a big crazy action movie.
Yeah,
where I get to choose wild stuff instead of just, you know what I mean, instead of just like this guy, you know.
Yep. Or a Final Destination.
Whoa.
You know,
I kind of felt like this was but maybe I don't know.
Well, but something bigger, more grotesque. You know, like that's why Anchorman popped into my head, because movies like that are basically, I mean, they're so random anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a storyline there, but all of the jokes and scene are just these weird offshoots. What if you had a Will Ferrell or anyone of that caliber doing something like this, and you would watch it 50 times to make sure you caught every joke,
every single thing.
Yeah,
so, totally.
Well, that's what I was thinking with that's the exact same thought process I had with a big crazy action movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like something that was spoofing like an 80s Schwarzenegger film, you know what I mean, where like I can choose to cut somebody in half or jump off the building.
Yeah, what if you had Edgar?
You know what I mean?
Edgar Wright basically doing Hot Fuzz in a choose your own fork. You know what I mean? Yeah, like that'd be pretty tempting to.
I'd give it another shot.
So,
well, now I hope somebody's doing something like that now, because now I want that. I hadn't even thought about that.
Well, I'll get on the phone with Will and Edgar.
Yeah. Okay, let them know.
I'll see if I can talk them into it.
Awesome. All right. Are we moving on?
Yeah, timestamp it.
All right.
No more Bandersnatch.
No more Bandersnatch. There we go. All right, Jaron. Well, I'm going to send it over to you so you can tell us about some wrestling.
All right. So, I watched the CTE Olympics.
The CTE Olympics.
Yep.
I thought spit my drink everywhere.
Okay.
That's cold, man.
Okay, so I'll preface this by saying, so we had a listener who suggested we watch Wrestle Kingdom 13, which just happened. It's New Japan's, like, it's basically their WrestleMania, happens at the beginning of the year every year. And I'll just go ahead and say I am not a fan of Japanese wrestling.
Right, yeah.
It's never really been my thing. So I thought it'd be fun to watch it and review it. I try to keep a general idea of what's happening. Yeah. Because I've always said, you know, a wrestler that doesn't know what's happening in wrestling is like a stockbroker who doesn't know what's happening with the market.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So I try to at least keep abreast of everything that's happening, keep a little up, you know, even if I'm not watching everything and, you know, studying. So I had a little bit of an idea of what was going on. I know a little bit who half these people are. Half these guys are. I know a little bit about a lot of these guys.
Okay.
I know who Chris Jericho
So
is.
I just thought the best way to do it would just, since you guys didn't get a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
I've got some notes and I'm just gonna.
I wanted to. I was trying to find a way to, and then I would talk to you about it, and you told me it was a 5-hour show.
Which,
like, man, that's like half a Mania. I don't have the time to.
Half of Mania. That's accurate.
it's also not true.
What?
It was not 5 hours.
Oh, really?
So that 5 hours included a 45-minute pre-show gauntlet match that was terrible, and then about 30 minutes of just a wide-angle shot of the arena, while I assume there was some kind of pre-show playing somewhere or something. But yeah, and it was so infuriating. I have never, because I just sat there the entire time going, any minute now. Any minute now. And the Fight TV, I watched it on Fight TV, and the Fight TV app is so bad. Once I started, like it started casting, and it casted just fine, but once I started casting, there was no way for me to ever get back in to control it, to pause it, to rewind it, fast forward it, nothing. So all I could do, so my option was either to cut it all the way off. I couldn't even figure out how to stop casting it. You know what I mean? So my only option would have been to like cut it all the way off, start all over, and try to fast forward past that before it stopped responding, or just sit there going, any minute now.
Oh.
Gotta be any minute now.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was all terrible. That was before the show started. Then right as the show started, they did one thing I did really like. They did kind of a year-long recap that I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not like a real recap. Basically, what it was a music video. It was a long music video with kind of like highlight, like it'd show like the major show and show kind of the main points that happened throughout the year. You know, the main things that happened at their big shows throughout the year. What
is their format? Do they do like monthly like pay-per-views like WWE does, or is it?
They got a lot of stuff, man. They have like I mean
as far as like the big shows go, though.
Yeah, well they have 4 or 5 big shows. I mean they have shows and pay-per-views and stuff that you can watch. I think more than monthly.
Okay.
But at least monthly they have something you can check in and watch. They have like some world. They have a network. You can sign up for a network for them and watch all their stuff. So they put out a lot of content, and they're a traveling, touring organization.
I know they have a ton of shows. I just didn't know. So you're saying it's the equivalent of like they have like a pay-per-view monthly, but they also have like their SummerSlam, and Mania, and Survivor Series, like the big ones that really count.
Yeah. Yep. And I'd be hard pressed to tell you what they are other than Wrestle Kingdom right now. But
okay. I only learned that word a week ago. So.
Right. Well, really? and a lot of them are like special. Like there's a theme. You know, like there's a tag.
Themed event.
Yeah, there's like a tag tournament. I think there is a. I think they do the King. Don't they do the King of Trios? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
No, that King of Trios. That's
I thought that
Mexican.
Was
that's AA.
I thought that was something you ordered.
I think that's it. No, I think that's. I think that's. Now that I say that, I think that's AAA. All right. So anyway, back to the Wrestle Kingdom 13.
Okay.
And I am going to be. There are spoilers here, so if you don't want to know who wins, you'll have to skip this because I'm going to talk about it because some of it's dumb. Okay,
John doesn't want to hear.
yeah, because John's gonna go watch it.
Yeah.
So the first match was Will Ospreay versus Kota Ibushi for the Neverweight Open title. The Never Open Weight title is the name of this title. Yeah. I don't know what that means. They didn't explain what that means.
I don't know.
Kota Ibushi was in the Cruiserweight Open that the WWE did.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Okay.
And Will Ospreay is an American. Well, I don't know if he's American, but he's big on the American circuit.
Right. Yeah.
This match was spot wrestling done right. You know, I complain about spot wrestling a lot. And it drives me crazy. I thought they did really good. It was really high energy. They're both kind of known for being high flyers, and this was good. They did a weird thing. I thought it was weird at the end. They did like Kota Ibushi, like they carried him out. Did he win the match? No, he lost the match. He lost to Will Ospreay. Well, I just remember thinking it was so weird because it's just a normal match, and he didn't take anything particularly punishing. It's not like they did a big injury angle until after the match. Like he took a normal finish and then just never got up, and they came in and like stretchered him out and stuff.
Was he actually hurt?
Well, apparently he got a real concussion, but the storyline, like that was the story.
Okay.
I guess Ospreay is not going to be on their next tour, so they just took him out too, so that the tour after that they can do the return matches.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Then there was a triple threat tag match, and I this is I don't know these guys, and I'm gonna butcher their names. So there was Roppongi 3K with Sho and Yo, whose monikers are High Voltage and High and Mighty. High Voltage Sho and High and Mighty Yo are Roppongi 3K.
Interesting.
Okay.
I like that.
All right. Then there's, and I cannot pronounce this. It's Los Goblernerbes.
Perfect.
Il Epon.
That's right. Yep. Accurate.
No, it's not.
Flawless. Flawless.
So the Los Goblinares guys are apparently like a big faction, and I don't know if they are like an answer to the Bullet Club or what, or meant to be that. They're like a big faction because there's guys throughout the whole night that are part of this, and they all wear these big, crazy, like, monster masks as they're coming to the ring. It's insane, man. It's but it's not, but it doesn't affect it. It's not like it's their gimmick, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just weird. That was Bushi and Shingo Takagagi. And then the IWGP Junior Tag Team Champions Desperado and Kanemaru. So I know Kanemaru. He's the only one in the match that I know, have ever heard of before, have seen before. I think he's roughly 107.
What?
It's pretty old.
This match was quick, was spotty, was sloppy. New tag team champs, and like the old tag team champs were barely involved. Like they got so it was like a tag in out format,
right.
3-way, and they got tagged out early, and then they just waited. They never came in. Like even when the finish of the match happened, they never came in. They
Why?
didn't. I have no idea. I don't know.
Psychology.
Yeah, it was bad.
They just let their belts get won by somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, were they trying to tag back in, or?
Man, I don't know.
I'm trying to.
It happened so quick. Like this match was really quick and really bad, and I had trouble following what was happening. I guess they could have been in the whole time. I wouldn't have known, but you know, I don't think so. You know, they definitely got tagged out and then like just didn't come back in, and the team beat the other guys that weren't the champions.
Man, that's weird.
It was super weird. I don't know if that's a normal thing for Japanese wrestling. I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Not that it went down like that. Like, you know, that finish is fine. You know, let's not pin the champs and then we get return matches, obviously.
Yeah. Right,
but,
yeah.
But the way it went down where they just got tagged out and then they just weren't legal the whole time, that was weird to me. Then we had Jack Sabre Jr. versus the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii. And this was actually for the British Heavyweight Championship, so they were borrowing the championship from Rev Pro, which is a company I've heard of over in. They're kind of the big company over in Britain right now. So Zack Sabre Jr., he's really big right now, and he's really doing a lot of innovative stuff with his like technical wrestling, and like that stuff is really cool. I think he was in the Cruiserweight Open too with the WWE. Man, he is not good at selling.
Oh, really?
He is just not. Yeah. He's very good at wrestling, and I assume his style normally the way he wrestles does not call for a lot of selling.
Yeah, most
he was
likely.
wrestling a guy that did a lot of strikes this time, and he'd take these strikes and then just like he's just not good. I was unimpressed. He won though. Like it's told a real interesting submission story. Like, they did a really good job. He really zeroed in on the guy's leg and really picked apart the leg. They had some really cool spots where the guy's leg being hurt impacted the match. Mm-hmm. And then he tapped him out on the leg. So I was impressed with that. I was not impressed with his performance. You guys don't get that. That's an MMA joke.
Yeah, okay.
GSP. All right, then we had the Young Bucks, who I hate, versus Evil and Sonata. And Evil and Sonata, so they were members of the Los Goblinares thing, and they made me realize that there is such a thing as too much gimmick sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like Evil was coming.
I feel like it's a thing you already knew.
Okay, so they reminded me that there is such thing as too much gimmick. So Evil came to the ring in this huge cloak with this huge hood that he kept trying to pull up because it kept falling in front of his face. He had one of the crazy demon masks on, but then he also had like a laser light thing spinning in one hand, and he had like a big staff in the other hand.
Sweet.
So like he couldn't get the hood up because he didn't have a hand free to do it. It was a lot, man. It was a lot. And Sonata was not there for him. Sonata, they were not like a tag team. Like Sonata came to the Sonata because Sonata had a bunch of stuff on, but not like Evil. And Sonata like Sonata was in the ring while Evil was still at the top of the ramp trying to get his gimmicks in order so he could just get to the ring.
Amazing.
I'd have been super mad.
Sounds like somebody practical joked him.
Yeah.
Just put all of it on.
And then the third team was the Gorillas of Destiny, who were Tamatanga and Tango Lao, who are both Samoans.
Okay.
And they were original, and I don't think they were. So they were original Bullet Club members. It didn't seem like they were Bullet Club members here, although I didn't know if the Bullet Club is broken up. They never made that clear to me.
Okay.
My main thing with this match is they did the Paradise Lock, and I was just out on it. Paradise Lock is the worst thing ever. So the Paradise Lock is this thing where they pull one arm through, then they hook one leg over it, and they pull the other arm through, and then they hook the other leg over that, and then they roll you onto your knees, right? So like you're tied to yourself.
Okay.
It's terrible. It's stupid. They think it's super funny. It's not, and it looks fake and dumb.
Sound good?
No, it's not. I think this match was hurt by being a three-way. This was the best performance I've ever seen by the Young Bucks. I think they only threw 27 super kicks.
Oh my god. Yep.
I've never actually seen Tamatanga and Tango Lao before. They were good. They were good. I wish I wish they were in the WWE and I would see them more.
Okay, gotcha.
But they're probably in the right place. I'm not judging that. All right, so then that match. Evil and Sonata won that match. And I guess we can assume now that that'll be the last appearance by the Young Bucks.
Maybe.
How come?
Because of our next topic.
Because of our next topic.
Oh.
Get woke, John.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then we had Juice Robinson, who is kind of from this area. I've met Juice Robinson. Cool guy.
Oh yeah?
Yep. Versus Cody with Randy Rhoads. And this match was awful.
Really?
It was, yeah, man. This match,
Brandy,
his wife. This match was hot garbage.
That's surprising, right?
Man,
Cody's really good.
Man, is he though?
Cody's pretty good.
Is he though?
Yeah,
he was.
Well,
I'm not.
Okay, in fairness, I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but yeah, he's really good.
So he's. So I was super. I have not seen him. Like I saw him when he first left, and I thought he was doing some cool stuff, and he was doing the American Nightmare thing.
Yeah.
I thought he was doing some cool stuff then. Now he's blonde. Mm-hmm. And he's basically just doing Ric Flair.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I was
I haven't really watched
I was pretty disappointed watching
either.
that right off the bat. He's put on a little weight. He looks so much like Dustin. It's not like
really.
Yeah, like there were moments when I was watching him in the ring, and I was like, "That's Dustin. Is that Gold Dust? That's Gold Dust. That's Gold Dust." Yeah, and this match was just hot garbage. They used the Brandy Rhoads. They just used her terribly. Like it was a clinic on how not to use your manager.
Oh no, really?
Yep, that was bad.
Bummer.
And then they went on to have a clinic how not to have a good match.
Oh.
I think they were trying to be like really hard hitting and try and really get Juice over because Juice is gonna stay and Cody's on his way out. And Juice beat Cody. This match was garbage. I don't know. I have no.
Is there any potential for this to be a style thing? Like, were they working that crowd? Who likes that kind of thing?
No,
you know what I mean,
no,
okay.
It was just bad.
All right,
it was just bad.
Right. Well, Cody, I tried.
I mean,
good job, John.
Cody was bad. The notes I wrote, it's like a how not to have a wrestling match clinic. Cody was bad. Juice was bad. This match was bad. Nobody seemed to care. And maybe the only thing I could think was maybe they had their time cut.
Oh,
maybe because it did seem like they were trying to it just seemed like they skipped all the parts that would have made the match good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So maybe they had their time cut, but I don't think anybody's cutting Cody's time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe because he was with Juice and they don't, but I don't know.
Maybe,
I mean, they put the belt on Juice, so I feel like, you know,
because he's leaving.
Maybe. I have no idea. So that was the only thing I could think. Okay. So that like first half of the show, man, I was really like, you know, because at that point I'd been watching for a couple hours, you know, and I was really like, oh man.
Plus, you had to stare at nothing for 45 minutes.
Yeah. So I was really like, I might be in it. I might be in it here, man. This is rough. And then it completely turned around.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. So the next match was Bone Soldier Tajiri Ishimori, who I've never heard of, and Time Splitter Kushida. So Ishimori comes to the ring, and he looks fine. You know, he's got a fairly simple entrance. He's not over gimmicked. You know, he's got a decent look, but not overlook. And I'm like, okay, this is, you know, and I'll be honest, he didn't look like a whole lot, you know, like with what I've seen, you know, I'm kind of watching him come to the ring. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
All right, guys, let's see what this is gonna be. Then they pan back up to the ring, and this little kid comes running out, and he's coming out, and he's got like he's just got a t-shirt on, and you know, like I don't recognize the outfit. Except then I take a closer look, and I'm like, why does this little kid have a Marty McFly vest on? And then a guy dressed like Doc Brown comes running out.
What?
And grabs this little kid, and I'm like, and not like this guy looks kind of like Doc Brown. Like, this guy's in a Doc Brown costume. He's got the crazy hair from when he comes back at the end of one.
Yeah.
He's got, you know, he's got the crazy shirt with a clear tie and the big yellow trench coat. And like he pulls the kid back up to the entranceway and pulls the DeLorean remote, like the big crazy remote control, out of his trench coat and starts hitting buttons, and like some like fog and smoke starts rolling out, and there's like some strobe flashes, and then like out of that smoke steps the Time Splitter Kushida, like grown up, right? Wow. So like he comes out. I know, right?
That's amazing.
It was yeah.
Okay. Okay. Time out.
Yep.
Time out.
Yep.
For the record, I tried watching a recap of this show so I'd have something to talk about in this section.
Mm-hmm.
And the only recap I could find, well, there was probably more. The one I chose was like 30 or 40 minutes long. And I ended up giving up on it about 20 minutes in because I was seeing some cool spots, but I had no idea who was wrestling who.
Right.
The announcements were all in Japanese. I didn't know storyline-wise what was going on. Nothing was happening that was going to help me with this discussion. But of notable point, the beginning of that recap video was the entrances for what I believe was the main event.
Okay.
Was that
yeah.
Okay.
Kenny Omega and Tanahashi.
Yep.
We'll
Kenny Omega and the song just kept saying "Go Ace."
Yeah.
I didn't know his name though. Yeah.
Yep.
But it showed, what's his name?
Tanahashi.
It was showing Tanahashi's entrance for the first like 2 minutes of this half an hour recap video. And I was marveling at it because nothing was happening. Like, the entrance wasn't special. The song just kept playing. It wasn't even like a Shinsuke entrance where like it's awesome to just watch the entrance.
Yeah.
It was just a guy walking out of the ring for like 2 minutes of a 30-minute recap video. Why in the world didn't they open with this?
I don't know, man. 'Cause
not only would I have watched every second of that video, I'd have replayed it 3 times just in case.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it was bananas. And so the Time Splitter comes to the ring, and these guys tore it down.
Awesome.
I loved it, man. I loved it. I was super mad, and so okay, so I'll just say these guys had a great match. my mind wasn't blown, but it made me reevaluate how I felt about Ibushi and Ospreay. Because I said that was spot wrestling done right. That was spot wrestling done well. These guys were spot wrestling done right.
Oh, wow.
This match was great. I loved it. I was super mad, and this is a good spot for me to bring up, how god-awful the announcing was. Kevin Kelly and Don Callis were terrible. And I was super mad at Don Callis because they are clearly doing this Back to the Future thing, and he's going, he keeps going, did they just blow up that toddler? I didn't know they were going to blow up a toddler. Did they just blow up that kid? What happened? And yeah, you know, and he was trying to, he thought he was being so clever and funny instead of putting over the coolest thing that could have possibly happened on this show. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're not a Back to the Future fan, you go, oh my gosh, he brought him from the future. This is Doc Brown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not.
That's still crazy innovative.
Yeah, you know, you don't oversell and try to put yourself over. The announcers were just bad. They had no chemistry. Don Callis did that constantly. This is like the main glaring. Yeah. You know,
would I know Don Callis from anything?
Cyrus the Virus, the Jackal.
Oh, the Jackal. Okay, yeah, I know who he is. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. You don't remember the Jackal?
No.
Yeah, that would have been
I remember the Spider-Man villain.
No, I know when you were out of wrestling, so you would have missed him.
Okay.
But he is legendarily hated in the business, and he's the one that JBL ran out of the company.
Oh.
Yeah.
I already don't like him.
Yeah, JBL hazed him so bad that he started. He would change in his car. He would not come into the locker room. He would change in his car.
Jeez.
Yeah, he was awful. They sent the Hardy Boys out. One of the ways JBL hazed the Hardy Boys was he bought a huge box of toothpicks and had them go out and shove toothpicks in the locks of his rental car and break them all off.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but Don Callis
shouldn't laugh at that, but it's
Don Callis legendarily hated. Okay, so then, man, all right. So then we followed that up with Switchblade Jay Wright, who I'd never heard of, versus the Rainmaker Okada. Now Okada is big time, legendary, New Japan. He was the man for you. You know what I mean? He's big time over there. And they did a recap before this that I couldn't understand because it didn't have, like, it wasn't in English. And they cut a lot of promos. Now Jay White is a New Zealander, so he speaks English, but he didn't cut any of his promos. He was with, who was he with? Gato, who is another legacy over there, but Gato is managing him, so Gato cut all his promos, and so I couldn't understand anything like that was going on. I could kind of see, you know, the feud, how it had been built, but regardless, the
universal language of wrestling came through.
Yes, for sure.
There you go.
Words, not so much.
For sure. But man, regardless of this, so Jay White comes to the ring. He's got a great look. He's in like all white, but with like bright red slashes all over. Man, he had a great look. Yeah. He looked like wrestling. And then the Rainmaker comes out, and the Rainmaker has this entrance that I have to imagine is like on, you know, like the way we feel when the Undertaker comes out. Like I have to imagine that's how it feels for Okada to come out, because that's how I felt. And I've seen Okada matches before, but he's over there, he doesn't mean much to me, you know. Right. But watching him come out, I was like, that's a star. That's a superstar. This is
a big deal.
He had this huge flashy thing, you know, like overcoat thing he was wearing with tassels, and he comes out, and his moniker is the Rainmaker. And when he comes out, it starts raining, and not like, you know, a few sprinkled, like it is. There's a cloud of gold dollar bills, I think, you know what I mean? I never got a good look at it. I think they were supposed to be dollars because he's the Rainmaker, but they were gold, and it was just like this huge explosion of them all around.
Probably yen.
Whatever, man. Paper currency. It was awesome, man. And when these guys got in the ring, like when they got in the ring and stood across from each other, it felt like a big match. you know. And the announcers were trying to sell it. I was already completely checked out on the announcers by then, but you could feel the way these two stood across from each other, like this match is important to them. Right. This match is important to everybody else. And they killed it, man. They delivered. It felt like a big match when they were standing there. It felt like a big match as they were having it.
Awesome.
It was good. Jay White won that, so I can only assume he's in for big things. And deservedly. I was super impressed.
How long are the post once the show got good, how long are these matches running?
20, 30. I mean, like a Mania, like a good matches at Mania.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah,
because it sounded like some of the early ones were real short. It sounded like. So.
Yeah, a couple of them were shorter in the beginning, but yeah, by the time we're here, I mean, this is like the second half of a Mania.
So they're coming in with big match feels.
Yes.
Got it. Cool.
Speaking of which, the next match is Jericho and Naito. Naito's another guy who's been there a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how to rank these guys. I feel like I've heard of Okada and Tanahashi way more than I've heard of Naito, but I have heard of Naito.
Okay.
Of course, we know Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho is doing this crazy thing over there. So he's trying.
Really gothed out.
He's really gothed out. He's really, rocked out, and he's really he's brawling a lot, I can only assume, because they kept trying to say how he's trying to become a new age Bruiser Brody, who was known for big crazy wild brawls. And I assume, like, they said it too much, so this announced team sucked. And they said this over and over again, so I cannot fathom that they picked up on this without Jericho going to them and being like, "Hey, I'm trying to be the new Bruiser Brody. Make sure you try to put that over."
Right.
You know what I mean? So they were trying to put that over. This match was good. It was longer than both the other matches, I would say. It went pretty long. It was no DQ, so they fought everywhere. They fought all over. It was a big brawl. I don't think it was as good as the other two.
Yeah.
Or the last one. So, like, of this show, it's the weakest one. It was still good. I still really enjoyed it. I don't know if this is a thing for Naito. He just looked completely uninterested.
Really?
Yeah. There was just this thing. None of his stuff looked weak or like just his kind of.
He just wasn't selling it.
Yeah, like it was supposed to, like they did kind of a recap for this one too, where it looked like kind of a blood feud type, going at it type of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he just was not portraying that, and that may be his character. His character may just be laid back. I don't care. I'm not. Yeah, exactly. But it took away a little something. It's what kept this match from having the big fight feel that the two before it had, because you could tell with those guys, with Bone Soldier and the Time Splitter and Switchblade and Okada, you could tell that this match mattered to those guys, and this match mattered to Jericho. This match did not seem like it mattered to Okada, and that took something away from it.
Yeah.
Naito was a member of Los Goblinares or whatever they are. Jericho's jacket was absolutely insane. It was like it was like a leather jacket, and like it had so many spikes on it, man. Like, I don't know how
spikes.
Yeah, like
man.
Legit spikes. It had spikes like they were rhinestones, man. I don't know. I don't know how he put this thing on and survived.
Dude, he just reinvents himself every time he comes back. He's
fantastic.
I did want to mention, man, watching Jericho have this match, Jericho is a master of the final stretch of a match.
Yeah.
He did it. I really credit Chris Jericho with being the guy who kind of started the false finish. So there's a thing now, like the end of the match, like the last half of the match is all really close false finishes.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of an indie thing. I mean, that's kind of a style change that has happened recently. You know, and so you have these big moves, and we've complained about it when we're talking about the NXT.
Yes.
Jericho is a master at it, man. He does it so well. He's the first one I remember really noticing doing it, and he does it better than anybody, and he still does it better than anybody. He puts them together so well, and they're so, you know, they're because they're so believable, but they're not over the top. There was several times where I was watching this and I was, you know, it didn't hook me.
Yeah.
I can't say that, like I was never like, oh, it's over, but I was like, I saw what he was doing, I was like, that's an awesome spot. That's a great false finish. This is what Jericho is about.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was good to see Jericho still doing that stuff.
That's awesome. He's awesome. Really good. Yeah, he's great.
Okay. So finally we come to the main event, which is Kenny Omega, who is just the hottest thing in independent professional wrestling these days.
Right.
Versus Tanahashi, who is, and he's the one you were talking about, their entrance, and you didn't feel like it was important. Man, Tanahashi is John Cena over there.
And in fairness, like, I'm specifically talking in the realm of that recap.
Yeah.
Because it's a recap video that just starts with him, and there's no build-up. They didn't show a recap of the feud. They didn't show anything else.
Right.
They just show him walking for a straight 2 minutes.
Yep.
And
well, he's
without any setup whatsoever. You're just sitting there watching it going,
well, yeah, and that's you not knowing,
fair
because I know that Tanahashi was out with a injury, like I think a long injury, and so he's just come back and he's been working back up to this match. He is huge over there. He's been huge over there for a long time. You know what I mean? And and he's of the age where this is probably going to be his last run. You know what I mean? So like this is kind of like
a weird place to start a recap video.
What?
Isn't that still a weird place to start a recap video? At the main event?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
We spent way too much time talking about that recap video.
But the point I'm getting to, you know, is that be like, you know, watching him make his entrance, it would be like watching the Undertaker make his entrance. You know what I mean? So like to put that on a recap.
They also spent 2.5 minutes on Kenny Omega's real weird video game costume entrance.
Yeah, man, that was okay. So that was almost really cool. almost really cool. So Tanahashi comes out, and man, he's impressive. He also looks like wrestling. He looks like Japanese wrestling.
Yeah.
But I'll talk a little bit more about that. Omega's entrance started out so cool because it showed the screen, and it's totally like a Final Fantasy, like a Nintendo Final Fantasy, like the overshot with the guy walking in, and you know it's got the kind of like that music, you know what I mean? That like unmistakable music. And like he comes in, and like the Kenny Omega sprite comes in and starts talking to there's a Tanahashi sprite, you know, and they start talking to each other, and I'm like, this is awesome. But then it pans down from it, and I didn't get to see it. So because then his music started, and he actually began his entrance. Yeah. And so they pan down, and he's got like this half vest with a big oversized Final Fantasy sword hanging off the back. So like he was going,
like
he was
big feather arm. There's like a gun on it.
Yeah,
it was like full on Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was going for it. I just wish they would have waited, and I could have seen, and maybe that like the image went nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe that was just all there was to it, and that's why they panned down. But it was still going when they panned down. So I had that feeling of like, what?
No, go back. Yeah.
What are we doing? Hold on. Okay. So the first thing I really liked about this match is how different Kenny Omega looks from Tanahashi. So first of all, like Tanahashi is just beautiful. Okay, like he's got an amazing build. He's got a handsome face. He's got like long hair. I mean, he's Japanese Roman Reigns, except he can wrestle. You know what I mean? Like
except he can wrestle.
And he's been embraced, man. So like he just looks like everybody's role model standing in there.
Yeah.
He looks amazing. He carries himself. They talk about how, you know, the big person, you know, he hates Kenny Omega because Kenny Omega's, you know, cheating and everything, and you know, even like all the theatrics, and he's not into that. You know, you wrestle and that's how you decide it. He doesn't, you know, he's even supposedly mad that they put somebody through a table one time. You know, that's not wrestling, you know. So he's just carrying himself. He's a real life samurai standing in that ring, and he freaking looks like it.
Yeah.
So that I was struck by that. And I've seen Tanahashi wrestle before. I know Tanahashi, but I've never had that feeling before that way.
Yeah.
And so then Kenny Omega, who is built well, but he just looks like a total sleazebag. He's got a little bit of, you know, he's built well. You know, he's got abs, but his body is almost shaped to where like even his abs kind of look a little slouchy and a little. Beer gut, you know, his arms are cut, but they're kind of lean and almost gangly looking. He's got he's got like a scruff going and like dirty blonde hair that's always a mess. Like he just looked like a sleazebag. Yeah, you know what I mean. So like seeing them stand across from each other, you know, and Tanahashi's in bright colors and he's in like black and green. It was the perfect image to me, you know, like I don't need any character. I know who's the bad guy. I know who's the good guy. Yeah. And I, you know what I mean? I know what this is about. Like I can see it just from looking at the disparity of you two guys.
That's awesome.
Let's see. Yeah, that's what I wrote. This is a great American versus Japanese matchup. Tanahashi looks amazing. Omega looks like a dirtbag. I love that there's so much disparity in the competitors. That's what my notes I was taking. So this was also the first time. So the big thing in Japanese wrestling that is the Japanese fighting spirit, you know, and that's why we see a lot of like the strong style because they're trying to show that, you know, that like that's a big thing over there, like that fighting spirit. You know, you might take this big move and it hurts so bad, but you have to get up and you have to take another one. You know what I mean? And you know they hit you with these 3 huge moves right in a row, but if you've got the fighting spirit to get up, that's how you get over there. And I really I didn't notice that I hadn't seen much of that on this show until I started seeing Tanahashi do it. Okay. And watching Tanahashi do it, he's a master of it. Yeah. It's, you know, like it hooked, like a lot of times that's what I don't like about Japanese. I'm like, come on guys, I get it. I don't need to see you get done, you know. I don't need to see you take this body slam 7 times and fight to your feet to know that you're a fighter, you know. Yeah. Just not what speaks to me in wrestling. But watching Tanahashi do this and do it well, and the times he used it and the way he used it, I almost feel like the rest of the roster probably went, oh, Tanahashi's here, let's not bother doing the fighting spirit thing because we can't. Yeah, we can't. This match was really good, but in saying that, this was also a very American style work. Like there was there was a long Kenny Omega had a long heat, like it was worked in an American style. Oh, okay. It was a really good match. Awesome. Like these were two. I don't want to say they were. Well, I mean, they were two masters. They were two veterans. Like you could tell these were two guys doing what they knew how to do and doing it better than most guys could do it. I was super impressed. Awesome. I was super impressed with this match. Tanahashi wins. He finished with he finished with a big long speech, and then like an air guitar riff. Awesome. So Tanahashi usually, I think, dances or plays the air guitar at the end of his match. And he was kind of selling it, and he was like, oh, you know, this match took too much out of me. I don't have any energy to do a song tonight. I'm sorry, guys, but I can't end, you know, Wrestle Kingdom that way. And so he did like just a quick, you know, like it was one little guitar riff. He did like the air guitar thing, and then he like fell over, and that was all he had. He had used up. He had used up all his. Yeah, he had used up everything. That's great. That was a good show. Yeah, I gotta say, by the time by the time I got to the end, I think it's really saying something. By the time we got to the end of the main event, I really felt like I had seen I had the same feel, even though I don't follow New Japan, even though I'm not usually into Japanese wrestling. I felt like I had watched a WrestleMania. I had that same feeling, even though I knew who Tanahashi was. I don't have a real strong fan emotion to Tanahashi. But watching him do his thing in the ring and when he was leaving and, the ambiance of the arena and everything, I was like, I've seen something tonight.
That's the definition of a good show.
Yeah.
The fact that you can come in cold and still have that feeling.
That's awesome.
For sure. So I'm real glad I watched it, and I'm real glad somebody suggested that. And honestly, it's probably made me. I will probably follow New Japan a little more closely over the next year.
Oh, cool!
Because I want to be a little more up. Because I will definitely watch Wrestle Kingdom next year.
Awesome.
And I want to be a little more in the know. So that was a surprising turn of events for me, I would say.
And all because somebody suggested it for you.
Yep,
That's awesome.
Thanks to the listener. I don't remember who it is. I'm not going to look you up. You know who you are. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's a great segue into the last thing we're going to talk about, because I thought this was perfect timing to bring this up since you were going to talk about Wrestle Kingdom anyway. The big news in the wrestling world this past week has been the announcement of AEW, All Elite Wrestling. So I assume you guys have kind of kept up with this a little bit, or at least kind of seen what's been going on there a little bit.
Yep.
So this is a brand new promotion that's been announced that is being funded by the owners of the Jacksonville Jaguars football team.
Who are those?
That is
the
Khans. The Khans, yes. Shahid and Tony Khan. Yep. So they're bankrolling this whole thing, and the big, listed as executive vice presidents for the company are Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
So they're basically helping to get this whole thing off the ground and running.
This is like Cody and some of these guys have been. They've put on a couple of shows.
Just
already.
one.
They put in
just one.
One.
Just
All
one.
in.
Okay.
All in.
And this is basically that with some money.
I guess that's the plan.
Right?
That's definitely the plan here. Because All In was their wrestling event where they. Well, it sold out in
20 minutes.
Under 30 minutes,
Yep.
and it was like a big arena kind of show. I think
in the 10,000 range.
They pull,
Vegas?
Not in Vegas.
I don't remember.
The next show's going to
The
be
next
in Vegas?
one. The next one's
will
going to be
in
at the
Vegas.
Grand.
Yeah. So
You can tell I've looked into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they basically made like indie wrestling history with that show, because they put on a big money show and drew all those fans, like over 10,000 fans, sold out of tickets. I mean, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And from around the world, like people from around the world came in to watch this indie show.
Yeah. So it was a big deal. So now we've got AEW, All Elite Wrestling, which has basically been birthed out of the success of that event.
And we will see where that goes.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be very interesting, because I feel like it's getting a lot of attention. And we kind of talked about this a little bit before the show, so this is going to be a good discussion, I think, because to me, and this could just be me remembering things wrong or misremembering things, but I feel like this is having a little bit more of an impact than another wrestling promotion has had in recent memory, as far as the way that WWE is already reacting to it. Because there's been tons of reports ever since this has been announced. Well, first of all, like, they did their big press conference and their announcement in Jacksonville at the same time that WWE was doing a Raw in Jacksonville. So they basically did that thing where, like, right out the gate, they're just like, hey, Raw's down the street. We're announcing our new company, and oh, by the way, we signed Chris Jericho to a contract. Yeah. So that was their first big announcement, is that Jericho actually signed a contract with this company. And he's even already said in interviews that, like, he's making more money with this company than WWE ever paid him. Mm-hmm. So he's making huge money to work.
I can't believe that.
Like,
that's what he's...
No way that's
maybe
true.
so. You know what? That is probably true from a. I mean, we're talking about these guys are billionaires, right? So that is probably true from a strictly my contract guarantees me this much.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. So
yes.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
The first person who told me this was happening mentioned, as sort of a side note, that Jericho had made mention of basically promising Vince he wasn't going to work for anyone else stateside. Mm-hmm. and then this sort of happened. Like, is there a story behind that I missed somewhere, or is it just basically they drove a dump truck full of money up to his house?
Yeah.
I think basically, because there's been I've seen some stuff with him talking about that where like Vince kind of gave him the okay to work those Japan shows,
right,
and was like kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if something started kind of
I've understood
falling
a very
apart there.
mutual respect there.
Yeah.
And it seems like a weird thing for Jericho to just backtrack on a word if that is the case.
I think I vaguely remember there being some friction the last time he left.
Yeah.
You know, the last time he was at WWE for more than like
with the Kevin Owens thing, like that run.
Maybe that was that run.
The list was his last one.
Yeah,
run, right?
yeah. You know, and I seem to feel like I remember at the end of that there was a little bit of Jericho talking about that's my last time. I'm not going back. I'm not interested in what they have going on anymore.
Well, I've seen him say in recent interviews that he doesn't want to do the list thing again. He feels like if he comes back to WWE, they're going to make him do that same shtick. And you know how we were just talking about, he likes to reinvent himself and do different things. Yeah. And he
but
says
they've always let him reinvent.
They have.
Do the list,
they have always. They've always let him do different things. So I don't know exactly what happened there.
10 times in that company.
He also likes to do stuff on his own, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done the Fozzy thing, you know, by himself, basically.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird to me that this would become a conflict at this stage in his career.
Well, and it may not be a conflict.
Yeah. That's the part I was wondering if I had missed something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I like I said, I think I remember hearing some friction when he left that last time, but I don't. You know, it could also just be he just thought this sounded cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So the WWE did take pretty quick action though to like do the thing where like on the website they moved him off the roster into the alumni page, and they took him out of the intro to Raw for that Raw that aired. Like they immediately pulled him out of the intro to Raw because he was part of the intro. So like they kind of reacted to it pretty quick, which makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like if there's big news that he's signing with another company, of course they're going to want to scrub that all off of there.
For not
yeah. So they scrubbed it pretty quick. But you know, there's other reports have been coming in that apparently, like once the rumors of this happening started circulating, apparently WWE made huge offers to Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, trying to get them under contract. And they both apparently all had meetings, and like I think they've even gone on record saying that the meetings actually went really well and that it was a good offer and things were good, but they ultimately decided to go this other route instead. So like they did this. And since this has been announced, WWE has been going through their roster and locking in new contracts with everybody on their roster, apparently, like trying to make sure that they're not going anywhere. Like this is all just stuff that's been reported. So we don't know for sure. Like, you know, it's hard to tell what of this is speculation and what of this is elaborated a little bit,
Well, so here's the thing with this. And so this is where we get to talk about context. Right?
Context is king, as Eric Bischoff always says.
Okay. So this,
you can buy.
So this is the time where they reevaluate all their contracts every year.
That's true.
Because we're 90 days out from Mania, and what always happens after Mania?
Yeah, spring cleaning.
Spring cleaning.
Yep.
So this is the time. We are right in the middle of the time where they are reevaluating and changing, upping. Deciding whether or not they're going to renew contracts anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Right. No, yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. And like I said, and this is all just stuff that you're kind of seeing floating around.
And I don't know where the sources of a lot of the information come from, but if it's the dirt sheets, remember, these are things that exist to tell their own. It's almost like a wrestling promotion in and of itself. Like they exist to tell a certain story.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to print things that say new thing happens, no one cares.
Right. You know, and it's and all the clickbait. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's all clickbait stuff.
That's
too.
true. That's true.
Yeah. So.
Kenny Omega is another one where apparently, and these rumors had been circulating, I think, before the official announcement of AEW came out, that WWE has apparently made Kenny Omega a pretty sizable offer to get him under contract.
Probably.
Which again, why wouldn't they?
Yeah, and I think he's still a holdout right now. Like, he has not made an announcement one way or the other yet, I don't believe, right?
He is not.
Yeah, because
but he is so with Kenny Omega, he is under contract with New Japan.
Okay.
So Kenny Omega is one, and again, context, or well, not I don't know if this is context, but did the WWE probably make him a big offer? Yes. Last year they made him a big offer, and he decided to stay at New Japan because he didn't feel like he had done everything at New Japan yet.
Okay.
I heard he talked about that on the Colt Cabana podcast.
Okay.
That he had an offer, he had been talking, he, kind of hemmed and hawed, like, I every American kid wants to, who becomes a wrestler wants to wrestle for the WWE.
Yeah.
And he had been under contract. He was in Deep South. He was part of the Deep South debacle that happened when they were when that was trying to be a feeder school. So he's been there before, and he did talk about, I've always assumed eventually I'd make it back there, but, now I'm doing big things over here, and I don't feel like I've done all the big things here yet.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
So he turned them down then. They offered him money last year, and he turned them down.
Okay.
Or maybe the year before that.
Recently,
I
mean, with us getting close to Royal Rumble, there's obviously strong chance that he's going to be a surprise entrant, right? If he decides to take that contract,
maybe.
Yeah, I would assume that's what they're shooting for. And maybe
we won't be surprised now. Thanks, Dan.
But yeah, that's been another thing, obviously, in the news because everybody's like, is he going to go with his friends over with AEW, or is he going to take the WWE offer, or what's going to happen there?
Which he's got friends in the WWE also.
I'm certain. Yeah. Of course, this one was inevitable, but I saw today that AEW apparently made an offer to CM Punk because, of course, they did.
Of course, they did.
There's no. Because CM Punk keeps saying he's done with wrestling totally, so we'll see what even happens there.
well, that was before he got his face pounded in a couple times at the UFC.
Yeah,
and the UFC said they were done with him. So
yeah. There's going to be a point in Punk's career where he really wants to buy food. So.
Man, you say that, and maybe I'm just buying into the Punk to Punk's brand. I don't think you can say that about CM Punk. There's a lot of guys. I think CM Punk is the type of guy, and I've met CM Punk a couple times, and I hate him, but that's besides the point. I think he is the type of guy who would go work at Starbucks to buy food before he would, go back on. Okay. Now he's also the guy that if he decides he wants to go wrestle again, you know what I mean? He's going to go wrestle again and not care what anybody said.
In fairness, that was part call out, but also part just straight logic. Because he doesn't have to do any of that stuff. He will always have a home that he can always make money somewhere.
Yes.
Doing something he's proficient at.
Yes.
So to say that he's done with wrestling for life, if that's a standpoint he makes, then that's all that it is. Because it would be silly.
Right.
From any reasonable standpoint, for him to not go, and it's not even cashing it in, for him to just not go do what he's good at, that's straight capitalism.
Right.
You go use your skills, you earn your living, So I would, and even if it's not in the ring, just him being involved somewhere, doing something, I would feel very comfortable saying will happen again at some point. Don't know where, don't know doing what.
Never say never in wrestling, right?
Yeah,
that's always
never
the
say
thing.
never.
That's always the thing.
It always seems silly to me when guys, anybody puts a definitive on anything, not just wrestlers saying, I'll never do it again. Anybody going, well, I'm done with that. If it's a thing you've done for more than 20 minutes, you might not be.
Right.
Maybe you are, but you might not be.
Right.
Don't close any doors.
So I have the assumption, with CM Punk, normally I say never because you'll be back. Del Rio says, Del Rio leaves in disgrace after having punched somebody and goes back to Mexico, and everybody says he'll never be back in the WWE, and I say, never say never because he'll be back.
Yeah.
CM Punk leaves and says, I'm done there. I say, well, never say never. But yeah, okay, probably. All right, man, I believe you.
I'm not saying he'll go back to the WWE at all. But,
well, for him in wrestling in general, because he's like, I don't like wrestling anymore. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of people get burnt out and don't like anything anymore.
True.
Yeah,
very
that's true.
Very true.
No, you're
and I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
So they announced their first big event, which is Double or Nothing, and this is the one that's happening in Las Vegas on May 25th.
I'm hoping these are all going to be super gambling themed.
Well, yeah, because we were all in, so now they're Double or Nothing. And apparently they do have a big TV deal, but they have not announced the details of the TV deal yet.
Which means they don't
So-
have a
So did
TV deal.
TNA.
So yes, exactly. So I mean,
they've got some leads on some TV time.
Yep.
so it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know, and we kind of talked about it a little bit over email, but like when TNA first started, like I don't remember there being this kind of a buzz with TNA. I sort of remember TNA just kind of being there.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Maybe I just don't remember right.
You know,
Like I don't think I ever took TNA serious. Like ever. And I'm not sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I think the closest anybody came to it was when they got Hogan and they made that huge deal about being on Monday nights.
Yes.
And like
And then,
that's
and then did the worst
and then it was no good.
live wrestling show I've ever seen,
Yeah.
probably.
TNA.
I watched a bunch of WCW.
second worst.
2.
WrestleMania 1.
Oh yeah.
I disagree, but that's for a different podcast. Sternly disagree. I want to have this different podcast, but it's not for right now.
All right.
So TNA.
So I mean, TNA was competition to the WWE for one night, and it was that one Monday when Hogan and Bischoff first showed up.
Yeah.
And they promptly
Opened with a cage match that no one knew how to win.
They promptly dropped the ball, stomped on it, and walked away. And
Kicked the ball, peed
Yeah.
on a gutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember the buzz when they first started, and because they had a big TV deal, they were going to be running other pay-per-views, and you know, after we had this conversation, I was trying to remember guys who had been signed.
Jeff Jarrett was there right at the beginning, right?
Yeah, well, it was Jeff Jarrett's company.
Because it was he started it. Yeah.
Jeff and Jerry, that was their company.
Yeah.
And they started it, and you know, they were big indie shows, and I can't remember the WWE hiring a bunch of indie wrestlers to make sure they couldn't go work.
Yeah.
I don't feel like TNA ever got as far as ECW did. And ECW was never a threat. It was always just this other thing.
So, you know, the thing to remember about TNA, though, they were and have been in business longer than WCW ever was.
That's crazy to think about. So, I mean, they're still hanging on. You're right. They're still around.
And they were longer than ECW. Did they make as big of an impact? That'd be
longer, but never bigger. I mean, there's a lot of promotions.
Well, they were definitely I mean, they were
were
definitely never bigger than you know, WCW. I think it'd be.
Were they ever as big as ECW? I mean, I don't know. It's weird because
that's
weird regional thing.
See, that's what I'm coming to, man.
Yeah.
ECW that'd be a fun debate to have.
Yeah.
With somebody who was a big fan of ECW and somebody who's a...
There are no fun debates to have with people who are big fans of ECW.
So,
I liked ECW fine. That's not the point.
ECW is a mess.
The thing I was thinking, though, that kind of makes these two different is right from the start, TNA felt like it was WWE's cast-offs. Like guys who were in WWE and weren't in WWE anymore, and so they were going and working at TNA.
Yeah.
AEW, I mean, aside from the fact that they just signed Jericho, AEW...
And Cody.
Okay, Cody too. But Cody made a name for himself kind of outside of WWE, right? With current stuff.
Jericho also has.
But he would not... I would say...
He wouldn't have that name.
You can't... I was going to say, you can't do that because people know who you... You know what I mean? Like...
But doesn't this still feel more like it's like... A group of popular like guys on the indies rather than guys who were old guys who left WWE and are just trying to wrestle still?
It's got a certain feel to it that is a little different. The thing is, okay, the best thing that can possibly happen for AEW, for wrestling fans in general, for the WWE, is for this to become a legitimate thing. For this to be the hype that it wants to be. Because that level of competition, that level of having an alternative drove a lot of good innovation for a long time. Also drove a lot of absolute garbage. But, but that's sort of been like wrestling over the last 40 years has been a mix of great innovation and absolute garbage. And the high times are the times that the cream rises to the top, you know? It will be good for everyone if this becomes a real thing. At this stage, it's a press conference, man. It's a bunch of guys who were already doing indie shows together, doing an indie show together. It's nothing much more than that, except for now that they have a few dollars behind them. I don't think the WWE is clamoring to lock down contracts based solely on this. There may be an additional incentive because this is bigger news than we've had in a long time as far as an alternative goes. But that's not saying much because we haven't had an actual alternative in 20 plus years, you know, like a real legit one. I guess just under 20 technically, however you want to look at it. But TNA was never that thing. They were always the thing that could be that thing that never came even close to that. So as far as that goes, right now we've got one show announced in like 5 months or 4 months, a long way away, with some recognizable names that may or may not go somewhere. I don't think Vince is shaking in his boots right now. And again, worst case scenario is also best case scenario. And that's that this thing works out and becomes something, and now all of a sudden we've got feeder ground. Because even at the height of the WCWs, the ECWs, any of those other things, there was never a lock-off on talent. There was always trade back and forth. And that, like I said, I mean, I wasn't even a huge fan of the Attitude Era as far as like all the wrestling eras I can put together. I liked the tamer stuff more than I liked the wild stuff. But it drove a lot of new ideas. And it shaped a lot of thoughts. And at some point, somewhere, WWE can't be the only game in town forever. There's got to be other things that come and go. And if this is one of those, great. That'll be awesome. That'll be really fun for everybody, I hope and think. And some of those guys, like your Cody Rhodes, like your CM Punks, some of the guys who I like to watch but were clearly burned out on the WWE system, if they have somewhere where they can work that I can still watch them, that'll be cool. You know, even if they don't want to go back to the big show. But the WWE is always going to be the big show. And in a never say never world, maybe there's a day they won't be, but I'll believe that when I see it. You know,
I feel that.
As far as this goes, like I don't think for a second Vince spent 2 days on the phone because the owners of the Jaguars and Cody Rhodes had a press conference. You know what I mean?
Quick, call Adam Cole. Make sure Adam Cole's not going anywhere. Get me Roderick Strong on the phone. Roddy.
Vince doesn't know those guys' names.
That's kind of my point.
That's kind of my point. Exactly. So, I mean, fun news, good speculation. I hope it turns out into something, but I'm not sold on a press conference.
Y'all ready for me to drop the knowledge?
Do it.
I'm about to drop some knowledge.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, you got some.
I was just gonna say, do you think Vince just thought the AEW press conference was like NXT? Like, Hunter didn't even tell me that he was doing a press conference with his little Fed today.
Hey, Cody, when did we hire him back?
Hunter didn't tell me you were back. Good to see you, kid.
That's him talking to the TV.
How you doing, pal?
All right. AEW, all Elite Wrestling, ain't going anywhere.
No?
Ain't going anywhere. And here's why. One, anytime somebody has come close to rivaling the WWE or surpassed the WWE, it's been by offering something different, an alternative, not just an alternative wrestling show, like something completely different,
like a six-sided ring.
ECW, yeah.
They never came close.
That's honestly like when they were now the six-sided ring. No, when they came the closest to being able to challenging WWE. When TNA came the closest to challenge WWE, it was when they had Joe, AJ, and Christopher Daniels working together.
Okay.
And when they started to really put the focus on some high quality X Division stuff, and that's when they started making a name. That's when they started getting some buzz, and that was like that. You know, putting the focus on those guys was what led them to being purchased by Panda and being hired by Panda Electric and being able to hire Hogan and them and having that kind of leverage. Like, look at the show we put on. It's so different to leverage themselves into a real TV deal.
Yeah.
ECW, when they were big, it was because they were not like anything else you could watch anywhere. They were wild. They were crazy. You know, they were brutal. You know, the no rules thing where they were just beating each other up and cussing and, you know, throwing beer and spitting on fans and stuff. You couldn't see that anywhere else. When WCW was their rival, you know, WWE was super cartoony at the time, and everybody had their gimmick, everybody was everybody was the goon and the
doinks,
the doinks, and they started pushing real, and guys were using their real names, and they were just being wrestlers, and even as they maintained like even while they continued, even once the WWE switched their format, it was still different because they kind of stayed realistic, but they kept the they remained sort of like family friendly, I guess, while the WWE became Shock TV.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it was still different.
So
it was still an alternative.
Bischoff talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
He's like, once WWE made that shift and started going that direction, WWE was able to do it further than WCW ever could, and that's when they took over.
Well, because they got that, and it's turning into a whole different subject. But they had the Time Warner deal coming,
right,
which started to restrict them.
Yep.
Right at the same time that the WWE figured out, or WWF at the time figured out, well, we need to go farther. So it kind of reversed polarities there.
Yeah.
So
but
with,
your point stands.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with All Elite Wrestling. And this is a little more this part is more speculation on my part, but I don't know what they can offer. You know, WWE has NXT if you want indie wrestling. WWE that is and I would venture to say NXT is going to have higher production values than AEW. You know, even at their level. If you want high flyers, they've got 205 Live that pushes the high flyers, and some of those high flyers are starting to sneak into main events on SmackDown. You know, and the show is like peppered with all these indie work. You know, all these guys. You know, Drew McIntyre has that indie flavor. You know, he's working a real WWF style, but he's got that indie flavor that brings that little something extra. Finn Balor is an indie worker. You know what I mean? He's an indie worker. He's got that
starting
thing.
to push him again too. Do you notice that?
They're starting to push him. So they're like, it's not
and these
for all elite. You know, for All Elite Pro. When TNA had brought all the indie wrestlers in, and they branded them as the X Division, and it was that indie style that was big at the time, like it was different, and WWE had nothing like that, and were actively squashing it when they did. Now they kind of embrace it, and they let the guys do it, and
that's exactly what I was talking about. Like when you were talking about Kenny Omega just going and hanging out with his friends. Like, I mean, Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Like, there's several other names that are all in that. Like, parts of that clique are already in the WWE.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, those guys are already there, and they have that style.
Yeah.
And so it's not just like, well, do I choose the Dream when I was a kid or my friends? Well, you can have both.
Yes.
Things,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so you're right. Like, that's a thing that already exists under the umbrella.
Yep. So the other thing that is big that I think is a death knell for AEW is all the stuff that I've heard. Like, the main stuff that I've heard is Cody pushing how much better it's going to be for the wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who is this promotion for? Is it for the fans, or is it for all their friends that they're now going to get these billionaires to write big contracts for, to do ostensibly indie shows for big money?
Yeah, and because for the record, we had a promotion one time that was great for the wrestlers.
Yeah.
It was WCW.
Yes.
You know, everybody got big money, big contracts, low date.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, low amounts of dates and whatever else, and it worked for a little while.
Yeah.
And then ran itself into the ground.
Yep.
You know? And for the record, I have heard a lot of horror stories about Vince. I've also heard a lot of great stories about Vince.
Yeah.
He does take care of his guys for the most part, you know. So,
yep. So I have big concerns about this, and you know it's totally different too. When we talk about it, they've had one show, and yes, it sold out in less than half an hour. But man, you know, like how cool was that? You know, at that time,
yes.
You know, that's the only, you know, that's the only one, and maybe and they were even saying we don't know if we're ever going to do this again.
Yeah, it could have been one and done. Could have been one and done. So
you know, so you want
once
to be
in a
there.
lifetime chance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
as a huge wrestling fan sitting in England or Australia or Germany or anywhere else to go, well, this is a once in a lifetime event. Because you were even talking about how they had all this international pull.
Yep.
Like, you can buy that ticket.
Right.
For a huge wrestling fan to be sitting in Australia or England or Germany to go, well, it's hard for me to make February, but I'll make it in April maybe. You know, like, it's not like they're going to panel into every single show that something like that happens.
Yeah, especially if you can turn it on TV and watch it.
Yep.
But here's the other big thing, okay? When you have three buddies who love wrestling that you follow on social media, and you know you catch their matches when you can, and all of a sudden they're going to put on this big show with all the top indie performers that you may or may not have ever heard of, you know, and they're just doing it by the seat of their pants.
Yeah,
you're part of it.
Yeah. Yes.
You're part of it. So when they start announcing date, you want to be there. You want to support them. You want to see them. They're underdogs. You know, oh my gosh, these guys are doing this thing. How cool is that? You know, aside from maybe it's a once in a lifetime thing, just these guys are doing this thing. How cool. When you have a billionaire backing you, and maybe you have a giant TV deal, and you're talking about what a big deal this is going to be, that feeling goes right out the window.
Yep.
And all those guys that love you right now, you know, there's a huge contingent of their fans that love them right now and think they're awesome because they're out there doing it on their own and they're bucking the system, and all of a sudden they are the system. People are going to turn on them hard. You know, there's a contingent of fans. I'm not saying everybody, you know, but there is a contingent of people who like them because they're anti-establishment in their own way that are going to flip on them, and you know, just some just out of pettiness because nobody ever wants to see somebody else do well. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But also just because they're not, you know, now you're a $1 billion corporation,
right?
You know, you guys, you know, there's
what's the word? There's a system to wrestling fans almost. I mean, you have your genre fans. That are diehards. Your guys who love ECW. And to this day, 20 years after they've been out of business, you cannot have a conversation with some of these guys after about any fault ECW may have ever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
You've got these people who are wrestling fans that they watch the WWE so that they can hate it, but they're the anti-establishment people. You know, you've got the indie fans. You've got all these factions. And there are times where they all come together. And a lot of times that will be for whatever the alternative is.
Right.
There will be there's a honeymoon period where everybody's interested because there is a new thing.
Right.
But keeping that going has been difficult.
Yeah.
Historically, you know. And the other thing is you've got a history of wrestlers who don't feel that wrestlers are treated properly, that want to run their own promotion. And we've seen that on the big scale, and we've seen that on the indie scale.
Yep.
We haven't seen it work.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
We've never once seen a wrestler go, I don't think this is going right. I'm going to do it myself.
Yep.
And I love watching Cody Rhodes matches, and I hope that Cody Rhodes turns into a great promoter. But I don't have any evidence of that at this point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we've got one show that I've heard was good.
Yep. And one of the biggest problems that historically plagues those types of companies is overreaching. And so now we've got a company that's going from one really successful show somewhere. I don't even remember where it was run. You know, one really successful show that did really good to our next show's in the MGM Grand in Vegas with a billionaire backing us, and we've got this huge TV deal coming. You know what I mean? Like,
And how overgrowth is a classic business pitfall.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of restaurants who do pretty well as one establishment that fail miserably because they tried to open 2 more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
Man, maybe this. I'm hoping this works. I'm just hesitant to jump all in.
Oh,
This is gonna
absolutely.
be great, because we haven't seen anything yet. And on that same level, like as far as like running promotions goes, because I've been listening to some of those same podcasts too. And without people even dogging the situations, just looking back and going, okay, well, who are some of the greatest names that have ever graced the ring as far as total package, being able to draw, being able to work, being able to do whatever. Some of the biggest names from the past, your Dusty Rhodes, who used to run booking for WCW. Your Ric Flairs, who used to run booking for WCW. Your Hulk Hogan's, who have had so much
creative control.
Right. Kevin, like, how many of these guys have actually come in and pushed a company to the moon? Well, arguably, they all have for a little bit. And then completely fizzled out. Because their game is the ring game, not the running game. So again, I mean, maybe Cody will be great. I hope he is. But I have no evidence to suggest that there's any trouble brewing.
Well, in any case, it's interesting stuff, right? And it's like, it's been kind of crazy watching it dominate the news, and like everybody's talking about it. Like they've got people talking, and that's cool. That's something.
That's the first step.
Yeah,
they've got people talking.
Step 1 completed.
Yeah, they've got people talking. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, and I'm sure we'll all keep an eye on it, since we keep an eye on anything wrestling anyway, and we'll see what happens.
More about it. I'll go on record as saying it's as big a mistake as naming the next Avengers movie Endgame.
I will say I don't think it's a mistake at all. I'm just hesitant to dive headfirst in. And what's your overall take on it?
I'm just curious at this point. I wouldn't say excited, but like
it's okay to be excited.
No, it's not the way I'm really feeling. It's more been kind of, I guess, maybe exciting watching the news from it rather than the excitement of the actual existence of this other organization.
Yeah.
Only because there's been so much talk all of a sudden about this other company, and then we're seeing all these crazy things like they reached out to CM Punk. They've got a TV deal. Like we're at this point right now where it's like just boom, 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 boom with all this news about something new that could be happening. So that does get you a little bit like, I wonder where this can go.
Yeah.
I wonder maybe this will turn into something, maybe not, but this is definitely interesting right now.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I think it's when I started hearing the stories of the WWE stuff where they were like, Vince is locking down contracts and trying to make sure his guys don't jump ship and this and that. It's going, well, this is interesting just because it's been a long time since I've read a news report like this.
Yep. I'll get with that.
So I think that's where I stand with it. Yeah. My curiosity is piqued. I want to see what happens here. Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, before we end the show for the day, we've got a couple of questions from our listeners that I would like to read off. I know we did go a little bit long today, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed the discussion. Yep. We have a Facebook page, as I mentioned earlier on, and before we record every time, I always put up a post where you guys can ask us questions, and we
so they know which button to hit.
Yes, please like the Geek Easy podcast page on Facebook, and you can post your questions there. We always do our best to choose a couple of questions to answer every episode. So we had a bit of a theme with our questions this time, which is definitely John's fault. So I chose one of those from listener Christopher Carlson. Seeing as how you're making Netflix a regular segment, I'm trying with this question. I guess he's asked this one before, so we've got it this time. Any thoughts on the Netflix R-rated original animations, such as BoJack Horseman or Castlevania, to name a few? Okay. Have you watched any of those?
Good news is you got your question on. Bad news is we're going to have to put a continuation to it. Because, no, I haven't seen really any of the R-rated stuff as far as the animation goes specifically. I know they've got that Big Mouth.
Big Mouth. I was going to say, I have watched Big Mouth.
Oh, have you?
I have watched both seasons of Big Mouth.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay. And I enjoy that show quite a bit. It is raunchy as all get out. But it's funny, and it's weird, and there's a lot of bizarre things that happens. Like, I don't know how much you know about it, but like
pretty much nothing.
They've got like the whole gimmick is that there's like a puberty monster. So he's like the monster that hangs out with them because they're going through puberty. But then there's also all sorts of weird things. Like he's got like an old crooner ghost that lives in his attic for no reason. I don't even know what the heck's going on there. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of weird stuff in it, but it's funny. Like I laugh about it.
Well, I've always heard good things about BoJack Horseman. I forgot they even had a Castlevania, but I was interested.
Castlevania's been on my list and I haven't watched it yet.
I like the Castlevania.
You watched it?
I've not watched all of it.
Yeah.
I've started it. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's very anime.
Yeah.
Which I like. I'm on a big anime kick right now. Anyway.
Nice.
So it's very anime. I started BoJack Horseman and did not like it.
Didn't like it.
Yeah, did not like it.
I've never seen it. So
yeah.
I said I've heard some good reviews, but nothing.
Yep. I didn't laugh at all. Like
that's a bad review.
Yeah, I didn't think it was funny at all. And I had a real hard time getting used to him being a horsehead man. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
it's a real weird thing for me, man. I don't know. I just couldn't get past that.
One that piqued my interest that I almost started a couple of times, and I don't know if this counts because it's probably not actually R-rated, but the Matt Groening one.
Disenchanted.
Yeah.
I watched all of that one.
Oh, I did start.
I really wanted to watch that.
I
that
watched
was at
that.
the height of my list.
Yeah, I'm sure that one's that's in that list.
Okay.
Man, it's so lackluster.
Like that's
really?
how I felt
Yeah.
about it too. Like there were definite things about it that I enjoyed.
Yep.
But like I certainly didn't walk away from that going, that was really awesome. Like it was just
I really wanted to watch more. I mean, there's a couple of them I want to at least try, but that was the one that really stood out to me. And,
it's definitely no
Futurama,
which is my favorite of the Matt Groening shows. I love Futurama. Yeah, I need to watch Castlevania for sure.
Yeah.
But Big Mouth, check out Big Mouth. I think you'd probably get a kick out of that.
And again, like I have high faith in this because I'm big on the Netflix format to begin with. It's just one of those where I just simply haven't gotten to them. It's not from lack of interest. It's more from lack of time than anything. But if it's going to be something people really want to hear about, then I'll figure out a time and make sure I get some of these.
Start watching more TV, John.
Yeah, clearly.
All right, our next question comes from Dan Bone, who says, which movie, superhero or otherwise, are each of you most looking forward to in 2019? Do you think any of them will be a surprise sleeper hit of the year? And as a bonus, do you have predictions on what the biggest bomb of 2019 is? Also, he says, keep up the awesome work. You're the best three-man team since the Three Amigos.
Amigos. Love it. I'll go first because mine is the same. I was super excited for that new Terminator movie.
Oh, hey,
I think that Terminator movie is going to crash and burn real hard.
You're totally probably right.
I'm going to be the only one on that plane going, this is awesome, all the way into the ground.
I'm going to be way predictable because obviously the thing I'm most looking forward to is Avengers Endgame, and there's no way around that. That is the thing I'm most excited for. I don't know how to call a sleeper hit. It's hard to, because all the MCU movies do pretty good. Captain Marvel probably will be, I think Captain Marvel has potential to be a pretty big movie that a lot of people may not realize yet. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot.
That's the Black Panther effect from last
it's
year.
Totally It's like it's got potential.
If it works out that way.
It's got potential to be the next Black Panther in that aspect. I don't know about a bomb. Is there a DC movie next year? Is that Joker movie next year?
Their Captain Marvel is the only one I know of for sure.
That movie looks awesome.
That's going to be pretty good. I'm hoping. Yeah,
that movie looks good.
I'm with you on. It's a bad year if you want an inventive answer. Because man, Endgame is where it is as far as most anticipated goes. And I'm a Spider-Man guy. I would rather say Far From Home, and even that would be a boring answer. But Endgame's where it's at as far as the anticipation goes. And I'm kind of with you on the bombs because I don't know everything that's coming out next year.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
I need to look at the summer list because you can usually pick out something in there that you know is not going to work. You know? But the stuff that I know is coming out is mostly superhero based. I think Shazam's going to do pretty well. I have everything. I have all faith in the Marvel movies. That new Hellboy's coming out this year, but that looks pretty good. I don't know if it'll be gangbusters at the box office.
That new
Hellboy.
Think it's
gonna bomb by any means.
Yeah.
I just don't know of anything that I'm really looking at seeing as a failure in the upcoming months. They'll be there.
I'm sure.
I just haven't figured it out yet. So I'll have to do some more research. I want to get back to that question.
Okay. All right. Our last question today is totally bonkers, but I thought it would be a fun way to end the show. So this is a multi-part question with each of us getting a part of it. So Wes R. Scott asks to Jaren, in the height of the rock and wrestling era, an interdimensional portal opens up and transports your 3 top WWE babyfaces and your 3 top heels to the cartoon world of Eternia to fight for the power of Grayskull. Who are they and why? You got to pick 3 faces and 3 heels from the rock and wrestling era to come to Eternia.
All right. So if it's the rock and wrestling era, if it's the height of the rock and wrestling era, the first baby face has to be Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Portal opens up, sucks him in first.
Who else would lead them?
If Hogan's going, we know that Brutus Beefcake is going to be hanging on to his coattails.
Yes.
So,
yep, that's for sure.
That portal couldn't open without him getting sucked in too. And the third option. At the height of the rock and wrestling era, we have to say that the third option would have been Wendy Richter.
Oh, okay. All right. I like that. Okay, so Wendy Richter is with Hogan and Brutus, Brother Brutai, heading to Eternia. So how about your 3 heels?
All right, so the 3 heels have got to be... I guess so. If we're at the height of the rock and wrestling era, first has got to be Roddy Piper.
Yep.
With Roddy Piper, I don't know how we could get out of there without having Macho Man.
Ooh, yeah.
Macho Man roll through, and man, I tried real hard. Because I don't know who Wendy Richter is going to wrestle if it's not. I guess it would have to be Sherry Martel.
Yeah,
Martel, there you go. Yeah. Scary there. Sherry.
Yep.
Sensational Sherry.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so there's your choices. So the next part is directed at me, and it says, using Jaren's choices, tell us about the battle and who ultimately wins the power of Grayskull. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't even know how to explain this battle. So after all the confusion and they realize that they're all have to wrestle for the power of Grayskull, the winner gaining the power. Well, Hogan obviously has to lead the charge, right? Like he's our He-Man in this situation, no doubt about it, because he's got full creative control, brother. So
let me tell you something, Prince Adam, dude.
Let me tell you,
give me that sword right now.
Yeah. So Wendy Richter's our Tila type character, and Brutus is definitely Orko in this situation. And so Brutus has got to be the first to go down. Sherry probably puts some sort of spell on him, and right. So Sherry takes out Brutus, but then Wendy Richter comes to the rescue and she fights off Sherry. So we got that win there. But man, Hogan, he can't just let Wendy Richter go up against the Macho Man and Rowdy Roddy Piper, the evil villains of those guys right there. So he's got to face off against those two. But man, ultimately it comes down, like, the Skeletor of that group has got to be Rowdy Roddy Piper, I think. No way, it's not Macho. Because Macho starts to feel bad. Ultimately, he rough handshake with Hogan, brother, like the mega powers unite, because right. So if you realize he was on the wrong side of the battle here, he realized he was on the he's kind of like the Princess Adora.
So he was at the darkest.
He didn't realize that he was with the bad guys.
The honor of Grayskull.
Yeah.
Dig it.
So now he's teamed up with Hogan. So now Hogan's got to go one-on-one with Roddy Piper for the power of Grayskull. And just as you think Roddy Piper's going to win, well, that doesn't work for me, brother. And Hogan pulls his creative control card and drops the big leg on Piper, and
just not feeling it, brother.
Just not feeling it, brother. And gets the 1, 2, 3, and that's how I got the power of Grayskull.
Christmas.
All right, so the final part.
I just imagine Prince Adam the whole time going, "We could do that."
So now we're over to Jonathan. Your part of the question says the winner or winners, have just been optioned by Netflix for a live-action series. Who do you cast in the principal roles, and who's directing the awesome IP-bending series?
Okay.
So now you have to make a show about the wrestlers who won the power of Grayskull, and you have to cast actors to be them.
Yeah. And I'm trying to do this on the fly because we did not discuss this at all. So okay, I'm gonna start off casting my heroes, and I'm gonna go the cheap route. I'm gonna center my show around one of the Chris's.
So what kind of show is this though?
What kind of show is it?
What kind of show? I mean, is this a sitcom? Is this like a 25-minute sitcom, or is this like a full?
This is one of those 8 episode 40-minute miniseries.
Okay.
Ooh, okay, okay.
There's
Netflix style.
Yeah. There's
okay.
some. This is a
Total
Netflix show.
Total Netflix.
Right.
Yeah. There's an epic feel to it.
Don't they?
But there's
Yeah.
There's an epic feel to it, but there's definitely some comedic background as well as you go. So. Again, first I'm gonna cast my hero, and I'm gonna cheat, and I'm just gonna go with one of the Chris's, and I'm gonna pick Hemsworth because he's big and blonde.
Hemsworth's gonna be Hogan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
We'll have to recede his hairline, but we'll get it done. He's gonna look bigger and better than the original ever did. But that's Hollywood. That's what we're doing here, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
So you curveballed me with Brutai a little.
Okay.
So I had to go into the well, but I'm thinking, I don't know how he's looking right now, but I'm thinking the skinnier Jonah Hill.
Okay.
When he was in pretty good shape,
God.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
Jonah Hill is Brutus Beefcake.
Yep.
It's amazing.
And you threw Wendy Richter in.
Yeah.
And I was really happy about that because that gives me a spot for Allison Brie.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Huge fan, and she's got the wrestling show chops anyway, so she's right in there. She's right in there. So now I'm going over to the heel side, and I got to find my perfect Roddy Piper. And why am I drawing a blank on his name? Kenny Powers? Danny?
Kenny Powers.
Yeah.
From Eastbound and Down, the guy from Tropic Thunder. Like, I know his name. It's right there. It's anyone who's listening to the show has already gotten ahead of us.
Yeah. I'm just looking it up. Danny McBride.
There we go. He's my Roddy Piper.
Hey, do you think Justin just had a aneurysm? Okay, so Danny McBride as
Roddy Piper.
Yeah. Roddy Piper. Okay,
he's my Roddy Piper leading that charge on the opposite side, and I'm starting to falter a little bit when I get to the Macho Man there because I need a big guy. I'm kind of going back to that similar pool there. I'm almost thinking of Will Ferrell, but I don't know anybody who's got the build for it.
Is Macho?
But he's I don't know anybody who can play that level of maniac either. And I know Will Ferrell's the guy who can dive straight into being Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
And the guy who can, more importantly, dive straight into being Robert Goulet during an entire Conan interview. So I want somebody who can own the role. So that's my thoughts. But you can sway me on that if anybody's got a suggestion.
What about Al Pacino? Can you imagine Al Pacino doing the Macho Man?
Like, yeah.
Dig it, brother.
I would kill to see. Why can I not think of any names right now?
Come on, movie guy.
You're letting us down.
You're
letting down.
Bill Hader. I would kill to see Bill Hader doing Al Pacino doing Macho Man. And so I'm ready to switch that role. He doesn't have the size for it, but with Hollywood magic, I think he can make that happen.
Bill Hader would be an amazing Macho Man.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm gonna run with Bill Hader's Macho Man. And then we get to now we're getting to Sherry Martel, though.
Sherry Martel.
That's another man.
Sensational Sherry.
Who's got the
crazy,
just the straight bitchiness to her?
Yeah,
which I mean with all respect, like in the best of ways. Because I keep thinking of Hollywood starlets, but none of them are right. We need kind of the fringe comedian.
What about Sarah Silverman?
Yeah. Yep. That's a good one.
She could get there.
Yep.
She could get
totally
there.
in with that.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay. There you go.
Okay,
there you go.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep. And
all
as far as who's directing, I mean, Adam McKay is an obvious choice. Paul Feig's an obvious choice.
Oh God, this is
produced by McG.
Yeah.
There we go. You know what? Let McG just make that movie. That's perfect. That's perfect. So
look. Now that we've gone through and answered that insane question for you guys, I just need one person out there to mock up a movie poster with these actors in these roles fighting for the power of Grayskull. That is just... We just made the best show ever. Somebody call Netflix.
That question was straight bananas, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Thank you very much for asking.
How much better will that movie be than the actual He-Man movie they make?
So much better. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Well, again, head on over to Facebook and do a search for the Geek Easy podcast. And if you got questions you want to ask us, that is the place to do it. We always pick a couple of them to answer on the show. If we don't get to yours, feel free to re-ask, and we'll try to get to you in a future episode.
And if you haven't already, remember, like, subscribe, and rate.
That's right.
To get the word out there. That's the only way we can grow is if you guys talk about it.
That's right. The audio version's on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and Podbean. And we even have a video version on YouTube, which we would really like to boost that subscriber count. So even if you guys listen to the audio version, if you got a YouTube account, why don't you pop over there and give us a subscribe? That would help us out quite a bit. Any last words for you guys before we close things off today?
No, can't wait to get those mini episodes going, so make sure you're looking out for those too. Iron Man's coming first, and it's coming soon. So that's right. This Friday?
This Friday.
Yep.
So you'll have another podcast 2 days after this one's up.
That's 20 mini episodes we've got coming out before 20. Yeah, 20, I think, is the total. Or is that with or without Captain Marvel?
We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
that's all I know.
We've got at least 20 coming before April, and then we've got all those streak episodes coming. That's also before April. So stay tuned. We got a lot of content coming.
A lot of content. All right, guys. Until next time, thanks for listening.
The Geek Easy podcast is a production of PixelDan.com. Musical tracks used in the intro and outro are used with full permission of the respective owners or creators. Intro and outro narrations are provided by me, Brian T. Stevenson. PixelDan.com's The Geek Easy podcast is provided for entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those solely of the hosts or guests and do not necessarily represent those of PixelDan.com or any other party. Be sure to join us next time for another installment of the Geek Easy podcast.